Chapter 21:13. When the Tao platform activated, the figures of Shao Chun, Yun Fei, and Nangong Feng turned hazy. As space changed, all they could see was a blurry, seven-colored energy flow. That was space-time turbulence, and one couldn't touch it carelessly. Otherwise, one would get lost within. When his vision returned to normal, Shao Chun found himself on an even larger platform. There were many other sovereign personages like Shao Chun on the Tao platform. All of them had deep cultivations and a strong aura. A fearsome sharpness hid on their faces. All of them were peak sovereign personages. Some of them had cold expressions, while others had arrogant expressions. Most of them were like Shao Chun, sizing up the other kings. Thinking about it, these people should be the 110 people who would be joining the Heaven Alliance this time. Who were the four heaven-defying human kings? Saber Demon Wu Meng, Grim Reaper Lin Feng, Sword Venerable Gongzi Lan, and Spear King Mou. Shao Chun thought curiously in his heart. His gaze fell on a burly man with thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a face full of stubble. The bearded man carried an ancient dragon-tooth saber on his back. The saber's body was intertwined with canine teeth, and its shape was odd. It looked quite ferocious. It was as if he could turn into a ferocious beast at any time and wreak havoc everywhere. Saber Demon Wu Meng recalled the appearance that Lei Hao described to him. It seemed to be him. Saber Demon Wu Meng sensed Shao Chun's gaze and grinned. However, when this face smiled, it really didn't look good. It looked even more frightening. Shao Chun nodded slightly in response to her smile. So cold. All of a sudden, a shiver ran down his spine as a terrifying chill swept out in all directions. A cold-looking young man with a spear on his back appeared on the platform and scanned the platform. The coldness came from his gaze. It was the spear Sovereign Mou. This person should have cultivated his Ice Dao domain to a certain level. Shao Chun thought to himself, my Thunder Dao domain should not be able to defeat the other party. Huh. Before the shock from the spear Sovereign Mou faded, a deathly intent spread across the platform. It caused one's entire body to feel uncomfortable and their hair to stand on end. They had no choice but to circulate their quintessence to disperse this deathly aura. Grim Reaper Lin Feng, Nangong Feng said in a deep voice. He frowned as he looked at the black-clothed youth on the Tao platform. You know him? Yun Fei asked in surprise. Nangong Feng nodded. In the first stage, I was placed in the same mystic realm as him. I was nearly eliminated by him. He is an invincible existence. To the people of our mystic realm, it's a nightmare. No one is willing to run into him. His Death Dao domain is too despairing. Death Dao domain. Derived from the Tao of Death, it was hundreds or even thousands of times more difficult to cultivate than the great Taos of wind, fire, thunder, and lightning. To be able to comprehend the Death Great Tao into a Tao domain, this person must have paid an extremely terrifying price. Cultivating this kind of dark martial arts could cause one to go berserk if they were not careful. It was best not to provoke this person. It could be seen that the examinees who came with Lin Feng all kept a distance from him, not daring to get close. When all the candidates had arrived, a huge silver warship appeared on the platform, its entire body shining with a cold luster. With a single glance, one could tell that it was a divine material. It was a special metal that had been forged through tens of thousands of processes. Everyone is here. The cabin door opened, and a middle-aged man dressed in green walked out. He was as handsome as a man from a painting. He glanced at the crowd and said softly. The azure-clad man had the same plum blossom symbol as Lord Shangguan embroidered on his chest, with 6 petals. The center of the flower looked like snow, and the petals were inlaid with golden threads. This exuded nobility and pride, looking extraordinary. Lord Mu, all the new members of the Heavenly Alliance are here, an old man responsible for welcoming the newcomers said respectfully after stepping forward. The azure-clad man nodded slightly and praised. Not bad. The potential and strength of this batch of members far surpass that of the previous batches. I'm afraid that there will not be so many peak sovereign personages joining the Heavenly Alliance for many years to come. In the entire martial epoch, There were more than 1 million sovereign personages in the Great Thousand Realms. Only 110 people were allowed to enter the Heavenly Alliance. With such strict standards, it would be strange if the remaining people were not strong. Good. Before you go to the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters, you will have to undergo a final test here to determine your ranking. Actually, this ranking is not very useful. It is only related to some rewards. Hence, I hope that you will not treat this as a fight to the death. Just stop when you're exchanging pointers. Otherwise, it will be my Heavenly Alliance's loss if you suffer any internal injuries or hidden injuries. Lord Mu looked at Xiao Chun and the other participants. After a pause, he continued, So, end this quickly and stop when you're done. There is no need to worry. I cannot make out your strength. Even if a victor is not decided, I will know who is stronger. When Xiao Chun and the others heard that, they felt stunned. Unexpectedly, the third stage would be so casual. However, when they thought about it, this made sense. The first and second stages were very cruel. Everyone felt very tense. If they were not careful, someone might really die. At that time, it would be the Heavenly Alliance's loss. Now, we will start fighting in pairs to determine the top 50. The top 10 with the total points of the first stage will advance to the final stage. This was a special treatment for the seeded participants. The remaining 100 people would fight in pairs. As this was just exchanging pointers, everyone held back. The battles progressed very quickly. When one felt that they could not defeat their opponent, they decisively admitted defeat. There were cultivators who clearly could not defeat their opponents, but wanted to drag things out. Lord Mu reprimanded them and declared them to be losers. Xiao Qin was pretty lucky. He won 2 rounds in a row and entered the top 20. This attracted many people's attention. Clearly, many people had heard that he was the youngest member in the history of the Heavenly Alliance. The 4 heaven-defying sovereign personages were Saber Demon Wu Ming, Grim Reaper Lin Feng, Sword Venerate Gongzi Lan, and Spear Sovereign Mo. Aside from them, the most well-known was the white-robed bladesman Xiao Chun. I really couldn't tell that he could make it into the top 20 at such a young age. He is rather capable. Incredible. However, this is not a true fight after all. We cannot take it too seriously. As the discussions continued, the final round was about to begin. Xiao Chun and the other 9 participants would face the top 10 experts who advanced to the final round. The final round begins. Your final privilege is to choose your opponent. Whoever wins will enter the top 10 and proceed to the final competition. Lord Mu said softly as he looked at the top 10 participants of the first stage. Immediately, Xiao Chun and the other 9 felt somewhat nervous. They all hoped that the 4 heaven-defying sovereign personages would not choose them. The 4 heaven-defying sovereign personages were already publicly acknowledged as unrivaled among sovereign personages. The others could not be a match for them. Whoever was chosen by the 4 heaven-defying sovereign personages would lose for sure. They would not have any chance of entering the top 10. My opponent is him. Xiao Chun looked around. Unfortunately, the one who chose him was Sword Venerate Gongzi Lan, one of the 4 heaven-defying experts. While Xiao Chun felt somewhat disappointed, he quickly adjusted his state of mind. Xiao Chun showed a calm expression as he stepped forward and performed a cupped fist salute. Peach Blossom City's Xiao Chun, please give me some pointers. You can still remain so calm when facing me. This is truly shocking. Sword Venerate Gongzi Lan's handsome face exuded a righteous aura, giving off a feeling of righteousness and untainted by evil. Xiao Chun smiled faintly and did not deny it. He gestured with his hand and said, "Make your move, then, as you wish." Clang. Gongzi Lan frowned slightly. Immediately, a sharp light appeared on his face. Like a treasure sword being unsheathed, it turned into a sharp sword move and launched itself at Xiao Chun. Ferocious, sharp, upright, and upright. This was a terrifying arrow that seemed to crush everything. This was Gongzi Lan's Sword Dao, the King's Sword Dao. Ding, ding, dang, dang. In that instant, Xiao Chun moved as well. However, he did not move his feet. What moved was the saber intent in his heart, and the saber moves in his entire body. The flawless saber, Dao used the body as a saber. his hair as a saber, and his clothes as a saber. Xiao Chen's fine black hair and clothes fluttered. He clearly did not move, but his clothes fluttered along with his fluttering hair and fluttering clothes. His saber moves were like a vast army surging. When Gongzi Lan charged over, Xiao Chun drew his tyrant saber and clashed with the other party's upright, an upright sword move that contained the king's sword Dao. Dang! 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 The weapons clashed. In the blink of an eye, the two exchanged more than 100 moves. Their figures crisscrossed, and afterimages filled the air. The saber and sword danced chaotically, creating a magnificent and chaotic, mysterious phenomenon. Clearly, many people had not expected such a scene. To think that Xiao Chun could last so long against Gongzi Lan. Whoosh! After exchanging another 100 moves, the two of them separated from the mysterious phenomenon. There were already some sword wounds on Xiao Chen's body. However, there was a faint saber wound on Gongzi Lan's face. The two were evenly matched. Unexpectedly, there was no clear victor in this exchange. Lord Mu did not call for me to stop. It looks like he thinks that my sword Dao will have some difficulty defeating you. However, I have a method that can make you admit defeat now. Gongzi Lan sheathed his sword, and his lips curled up in a confident smile. Xiao Chun said calmly, "In that case, bring it out and let me see." Gongzi Lan smiled faintly and held two fingers together. Suddenly, a strand of sword light condensed at his fingertips. Whoosh! The instant the sword light appeared, Xiao Chun felt a piercing pain in his eyes. He felt some fear in his heart, so he quickly took a few steps back. Xiao Chun narrowed his eyes and looked carefully. He saw a leaping golden line in that sword light. Divine energy. This Gongzi Lan actually managed to cultivate a strand of divine energy as a sovereign personage, a divine energy that only divine vein realm sovereign emperors could grasp. Xiao Chun smiled bitterly. There was indeed no need to continue fighting. Clearly, Gongzi Lan had already cultivated this strand of divine energy to perfection. Combined with Gongzi Lan's sword Dao, even if Xiao Chun took out the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram, he was not confident of blocking it. Whether Xiao Chun dared to block it or not was another question. Once he failed to block it, this sword light containing divine energy could instantly severely injure him. If it were a true fight, the best choice would be to leave quickly when the other party used divine energy. There was no need to gamble on the unknown. Gongzi Lan was indeed one of the four heaven-defying sovereign personages. To think that he managed to cultivate a strand of divine energy. This made Xiao Chun feel helpless. There was no need to continue. Xiao Chun smiled bitterly and shook his head. Then, he sheathed his saber and performed a cupped fist salute. "I lost. Thank you for letting me win." Gongzi Lan smiled faintly and scattered the sword light. Then, he held up his sword and moved back. In the final ranking matches, Xiao Chun could only reach the top 20. His exact rank would depend on Lord Mu. Chapter 21:14. It was regrettable to lose, but that was all. Xiao Chun took his leave calmly. The defeated 10 did not need to continue fighting. Lord Mu, who had 7 plum blossom petals embroidered on his chest, would determine their ranking based on their performance. Yin Fei and Nangong Feng walked over. The two were not as good as Xiao Chun, unable to make it into the top 20. To think that he managed to cultivate a strand of divine energy. This Gongzi Lan is really a monster, Nangong Feng said somewhat aggrieved. After advancing to the divine vein realm, one's veritable essence energy would evolve into even stronger divine energy. In front of divine essence, true essence was just like paper paste. It was completely two different levels of things. There were not many opportunities. Xiao Chun thought that if he used his heart flame together with the God Shadow Bow, he might have a chance. After all, this was not a true fight. While he had a soul tool, the other party might have one. This is simply like cheating. No wonder he is a heaven-defying sovereign personage. How despairing. Yin Fei sighed softly. The 4 heaven-defying sovereign personages, Grim Reaper Lin Feng, Saber Demon Wu Ming, Spear Sovereign Imoyu, and Sword Venerate Gongzi Lan, were not people to offend. If you had not run into Gongzi Lan, Xiao Chun, you might have made it into the top 10, Nan Gongfeng said objectively. At the same time, he wanted to console Xiao Chun, not wanting him to feel too depressed. Xiao Chun smiled and said, "It's fine. A defeat is a defeat. It does not matter whether I can make it into the top 10 or not. In any case, we will enter the Heavenly Alliance in the end. There will be opportunities in the future." Xiao Chun. Just at this moment, a figure walked over to Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun looked carefully. It was Qiong. This was the first peak sovereign personage that Xiao Chun met in the Heavenly Alliance's first stage of the test, the Ink C Cluster's Qiong. To think that Qiong managed to make it out of the losers group and get to Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun stepped forward with some pleasant surprise and said, "Unexpectedly, you really made it." Qiong smiled and said, "I said it before. As long as there is a losers group, I will definitely climb out. I will set you as my goal and surpass you." Xiao Chun admired Qiong character. This person came from the outer endless sea cluster, and it was not easy for him to reach where he was now. He had a tenacity and a drive that would never admit defeat. Xiao Chun smiled and said, "I'll wait for you. Let me introduce you. This is Yun Fei, my senior brother from the same sect. This is Nan Gongfeng, who is in the same exam area as me. He's Qiong from the Ink C Cluster. He's the first expert I met in the first stage." After a round of introductions, the few of them slowly became familiar with each other. Unknowingly, the topic shifted to the four heaven-defying experts. Qiong said in a deep voice, "These four fellows are all heaven-defying existences. However, the strongest is still Grim Reaper Linfeng. He's simply too dazzling. Even the combined brilliance of everyone in our cohort is overshadowed by him. Wu Ming and Mou are about the same. Gongzi Lan is slightly inferior." "What do you mean?" Yun Fei asked. This Gongzi Lan managed to cultivate divine energy as a sovereign personage. Qiong explained, "This Gongzi Lan is definitely not weak. Even without divine energy, he would rank in the top 4, slightly stronger than us. However, he is only slightly stronger. He can be called a heaven-defying sovereign personage only because of his divine energy. He definitely did not cultivate this divine energy by himself. He must have had some fortuitous encounter, which allowed him to succeed in cultivating it by chance. When we reach the sovereign emperor realm, everyone will have divine energy. His advantage will no longer be obvious. However, the other three are different. Lin Feng relies on his Death Dao domain, Wu Ming on his Saber Dao, and Mou on his spear. Once they reach the sovereign emperor realm, their advantage will strengthen further. Gongzi Lan's advantage will seem mediocre." Nan Gongfeng nodded and said, "That's true. However, it is hard to say if this Gongzi Lan has any other means. Right?" As the few conversed softly, the ranking battles ended in a rather peaceful atmosphere. After all, it was just an exchange of pointers. The atmosphere was still very friendly. Lord Mu started to call out names. When he called out someone, he would tell them their rank and give them a Heavenly Alliance medallion. Xiao Chun. Upon hearing his name, Xiao Chun stepped forward and performed a cupped fist salute to Lord Mu. The azure-clad man looked at Xiao Chun and sized him up. Then, he nodded slightly and said, "Not bad. You truly deserve to be the youngest person in the history of my Heavenly Alliance. I have long wanted to meet you. I heard that you even rejected Lord Swearenge's invitation. I am very curious. Can you tell me the answer?" Xiao Chun replied after some thought, "Freedom. Freedom." Lord Mu felt stunned. When the Heavenly Alliance was first established, it had been a very loose alliance. At that time, the Heavenly Alliance's cultivators were the freest, able to come and go as they pleased. The atmosphere of the alliance was also different from now. However, now, the atmosphere was already very different from before. Time would slowly change a person. Time would corrode the human heart. Under the baptism of time, the Heavenly Alliance slowly changed. Who could do anything about the passing of time? Lord Mu handed the Heavenly Alliance medallion to Xiao Chun. Then, he said softly, "I rank you 11th. If you had not run into Gongzi Lan, you would have been able to enter the top 10. You might even have been able to enter the top 5. The medallion contains the rewards for the 11th rank, as well as some uniforms and inherited Dao tools for the Heavenly Alliance's members. Thank you, Lord Mu. Xiao Chun put away the medallion and stepped back. Then, he fiddled with the medallion and found it to be rather heavy. There was a storage space inside the medallion. It seemed to be a secret treasure in itself. Due to the restrictions, Xiao Chun could not open the storage space. Then, he saw the others recognizing the medallion as their master. Xiao Chun did the same. A drop of essence blood came out of his fingertip and fell into the medallion. Immediately, the surface of the black medallion slowly melted like snow. The front of the medallion appeared. The 7 golden shards fit together perfectly, forming an ancient divine character. The background was an ancient bronze mirror burning with flames. The back of the medallion was smooth and exquisite, showing a vast snowy scene. An indistinct 8-petal plum blossom appeared in the snowy scene. However, only one of the 8 plum blossom petals lit up. The others appeared dim. Xiao Chun thought about the 7-petal plum blossom emblem on Lord Mu's chest. This might represent his rank. After injecting a strand of his soul into the medallion, this Heavenly Alliance medallion became perfectly bound to Xiao Chun. There were still some things in the storage space inside, including the ranking rewards. However, he did not have time to check them out now. Lord Mu said loudly, "Congratulations on officially becoming members of the Heavenly Alliance. Do you see the plum blossom on the back of the Heavenly Alliance medallion? Only 1 petal is lit up. What you need to do in the future is to contribute to the Heavenly Alliance by continuing to light up the petals. With every lit petal, your rank in the Heavenly Alliance will rise by 1 rank. Right now, you are still low-level members of the Heavenly Alliance. The authority and resources you have are very limited." Indeed, it was a Xiao Chun guest. The plum blossom petals represented one's rank. As for the 7 golden shards and the ancient bronze mirror, Xiao Chun did not know what they meant. After giving some instructions, Lord Mu got everyone to board the silver warship to bring them to the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. After Xiao Chun boarded the warship, he was informed that there were limited rooms in the warship, requiring 4 people to a room. If there were no cultivators with better abilities, Lord Mu would randomly assign 4 people to a room. Coincidentally, Xiao Chun, Yun Fei, Nangong Feng, and Xiong Ying chose a room. After entering the warship's guest room, the 4, who originally thought that the space would not be large, were startled. The interior of the guest room was exquisitely decorated, looking gorgeous and elegant. Everything was perfect and pleasing to the eye. There were ancient paintings on the walls, furniture made of divine wood, and screens clearly the work of a great master. The precious spirit fruits on the plates on the table made one sigh at the wealth of this warship's master. This Lord Mu really has deep accumulations. Just a plate of spirit fruits on the table is probably worth millions of primeval heavenly pills. Yun Fei could not help praising as he casually picked up a spirit fruit and stuffed it into his mouth. The maidservant responsible for serving the 4 smiled faintly and said, "Everyone can enjoy these spirit fruits as they please. If you need more, you can summon this maidservant at any time. My lords can enjoy everything in the room at any time. There is no need to stand on ceremony. It will still be some time before we reach the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters." After the introductions, Xiao Chun nodded slightly and said, "You may withdraw first. We will call you again if there is anything." "All right. This maidservant will stand guard outside the door. If you have any instructions, I will come immediately." The maidservant smiled and bowed to take her leave. Her graceful figure appeared indistinctly as she bowed, inviting one's imagination. He really knows how to enjoy himself. My master is also a member of the Heavenly Alliance. However, he is 1 rank lower than this Lord Mu. It is just 1 rank, but the difference is like heaven and earth. No wonder Master dreams of becoming a doyen. Nangong Feng sent off the pretty maidservant with his eyes, feeling somewhat reluctant to part. Yun Fei guffawed and said, "Nangong Feng, unexpectedly, you have such tastes." He seems to have said that if you have any instructions, I can come immediately. Although the 4 of us share a room, if you need us, we can leave for a while. If you don't mind us watching, of course, that is fine as well. Scram, Nangong Feng said softly, hiding his embarrassment as he gave Yun Fei a look of disdain. Upon seeing Nangong Feng's embarrassed state, Xiao Chun and the others could not help laughing. Everyone, look, what did I discover? Xiaoying searched the room and opened a secret room. To think that it was a cultivation room. The group quickly put down what they were doing and went in to take a look. They immediately sighed in amazement. This cultivation room had a peak spirit gathering formation under it. The ceiling was decorated with gemstones, forming a starry sky. When one blinked, it looked like a vast starry sky materialized into a beautiful painting. It was like one could pluck stars with a wave of one's hand. The lamp on the wall gave off a faint fragrance. Xiao Chun took a whiff of the fragrance. When one took a whiff, it stunned both the physical body and the soul. They felt comfortable and refreshed, instantly forgetting all their worries. The lamp oil should have an extraordinary origin. However, the group's knowledge was limited, so they did not know what it was made of. Nangong Feng stepped forward and carefully observed it. Then he said, "My master once said that there's a deep-sea gigantic beast, the cruel demon Xian Jing, in the bitter sea of the 7 great forbidden seas. The cruel demon Xian Jing has a kind of fragrance in its body that can be refined into the peak lamp oil in the world. Many large Buddhist temples use this kind of lamp oil. I suspect that the lamp oil in here is the one I mentioned." The bitter sea was one of the 7 great forbidden seas. It was a place where the 7 bitter sufferings of the world gathered: birth, aging, sickness, and death, resentment, separation from love, and unattainable desires. It was a vast and boundless sea of bitterness. It was filled with unknown dangers. If one was not careful, one would sink deep into it, unable to extricate themselves. Qiang Ying pointed to the primeval heavenly pills in the spirit gathering formation. These primeval heavenly pills were much darker in color than the ones in everyone's hands. The spirituality of these primeval heavenly pills was nearly solid, visible to the naked eye. These are primeval heavenly pills refined from medial grade spirit jades or superior grade spirit jades. They are completely different from the primeval heavenly pills refined from inferior grade spirit jades in our hands. Primeval heavenly pills were heavenly pills refined from inferior grade spirit jades and superior grade spirit jades. The primeval heavenly pills refined from inferior grade spirit jades circulated in the central great realm, as medial grade spirit jades and superior grade spirit jades were much rarer in comparison. Yun Fei sighed. This Lord Mu is not simple. He is definitely not an ordinary doyen. Chapter 21:15. The extravagance of the warship's guest rooms shocked Xiao Chen's group of 4. This was truly extravagant. They felt like country bumpkins entering the city. Everything they saw shocked them for a long time. It looks like I really hope to stay in the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters longer. Staying in this guest room for a lifetime would not be a loss, Nangong Feng sighed. Indeed, this kind of cultivation environment was truly an eye-opener. This was at least 100 times better than Xiao Chen's cave in the Heaven Dragon Palace. Most importantly, he could use the resources in there as he pleased. Should we pour out some of this lamp oil? If we sell it in the future, it might fetch a sky-high price, Yun Fei said softly as he looked at the dreamy lamp oil. Xiao Chen said calmly, "It is best not to. Right now, we feel that these are all precious treasures, worth cities. However, our horizons are too low. After we enter the Heavenly Alliance, we might not feel this way anymore." That's true. All right. Have you seen the storage space in the Heavenly Alliance medallion? The things in there seem pretty good. Yin Fei reminded them. With this reminder, Xiao Chun and the others remembered that they should take a look at the rewards in the Heavenly Alliance medallion. The group went to the table in the reception hall and sat down. Then, they took out the items in their medallion storage space. There were not many things, but they were more or less the same. Since they did not advance to the top 10, their rewards were about the same. Xiao Chen's ranking reward was 10 million primeval heavenly pills, 9 medicinal pills for treating injuries with varying effects, and a jade bottle containing an unknown essence liquid. Aside from these rewards, there were the basic tools that everyone who joined the Heavenly Alliance received. Of the two books, one introduced the Heavenly Alliance's organizational structure and how to deal with specific matters, a book to help newcomers familiarize themselves with the Heavenly Alliance. Aside from the Heavenly Alliance, there were also detailed records of the other super factions. The other book was called the Myriad Item Register, an encyclopedia that introduced the various aspects of the martial epic in detail. This included the origins of the martial epic, historical records of the wars between righteous factions and demonic factions, many rare herbs, divine materials, ever-changing stars, and all sorts of strange things. Not bad. These two books can answer most of our questions. This is especially so for the Myriad Item Register, which is very helpful for broadening our horizons. Xiao Chan gave the two books a cursory look and became very engrossed, feeling very interested. Not only did the all-creation list introduce various resources, but it also explained various martial arts techniques, secret techniques, and cultivation methods. All of them were written by faux gods. It was not just for broadening one's horizons, but was also helpful for cultivation. What's Essence Myriad Item Register? Everyone was rewarded with a bottle of liquefied elemental essence. Because of the ranking, the amount of liquefied elemental essence was somewhat different. Bai Yunfei opened the bottle cap and sniffed it. He did not feel anything and asked in confusion. Xiao Chan put down the Myriad Item Register in his hand and picked up the jade bottle. More accurately, it should be called Origin Liquid. The Spirit Jade Origin is the source of the jade mine. If all of them were taken away, the jade mine would not dry up and new spirit jades would not be produced. Normally, they would only take a third of it before going down to retrieve it. They would have to wait for 1,000 or several thousand years before the spirit jade origin would recover. This unrefined, primeval origin liquid can be perfectly absorbed by the physical body without any side effects. It has many wondrous uses. It can strengthen the physical body, convert bloodline energy, aid cultivation, and recover from severe injuries. Sovereign emperors can even use origin liquid to recover quickly when their divine energy runs dry. When Yunfei heard that, he quickly closed the bottle. Unexpectedly, the most valuable reward of the ranking battles was this origin liquid. This was a treasure that even sovereign emperors would treasure. It had many wondrous uses and could be said to be omnipotent. Although it has many uses, it is too comprehensive. It does not have any outstanding advantages, which can be considered a disadvantage. However, the most proper thing is that it has no side effects and does not require an alchemist to refine it. Xiao Chun smiled faintly as he continued. He had the most origin liquid. The others only had 5 kilograms, but he had more than 250 kilograms. How did you know? Yin Fei and the other two asked out of curiosity. Xiao Chun pointed to the myriad item register in his hand, smiling without saying anything. Also, what is this? Cheong Ying asked in confusion as he put on a pair of black gloves. These gloves were very thin. After putting them on, he revealed half a finger. There were 7 pieces of metal imprinted on the back of the gloves, forming ancient divine characters. It was the same as the image on the front of the Heavenly Alliance medallion. However, there was no bronze mirror. This was not a reward, but a tool that came with every new member of the Heavenly Alliance. There was no record of this in the myriad item register. When Xiao Chun put it on, he felt that it was strange as well. Nangong Feng smiled and said, "Let me tell you what this is. I guarantee that it will be an eye-opener." Soul energy fluctuations appeared on Nangong Feng's body, and the ancient divine characters on the back of the gloves flickered. In the next moment, silver liquid metal flowed out from Nangong Feng's wrist, looking incredibly mystical. Then, the liquid metal covered Nangong Feng's arm, forming gauntlets, wrist guards, and shoulder guards. Then, it continued to spread, covering the entire body, forming a set of silver battle armor, shining with flowing light. The battle armor, shoulder guards, leg guards, arm guards, and combat boots, none of them were missing. Silver light flickered endlessly, forming a complete set. This greatly startled Xiao Chun. Be it the battle armor, shoulder guards, arm guards, or leg guards, they were all inherited Dao tools. This was a perfect set of battle armor formed by a complete set of inherited Dao tools. Not only that, but there was something even more shocking. The materials used to forge this battle armor seemed to be made of countless divine materials, somewhat similar to the materials of the warship they were currently on. Nangong Feng stood up. The silver battle armor covered his entire body, giving off a flowing light. Every part of the armor was connected to the Tao. Under the contrast of this divine battle armor, Nangong Feng looked very heroic, giving off an overwhelming aura. After Nangong Feng activated this set of mysterious battle armor, Xiao Chun, Yun Fei, and Xiong Ying felt a strong pressure. This, even with Xiao Chen's extraordinary mental state, he was still somewhat shocked. Not long ago, Xiao Chen had seen someone in the Divine Dragon Empire wearing a complete set of inherited Dao tools. But that was because he didn't know that not only was the quality of the individual parts incomparable, but the whole was also incomparable. After seeing Nangong Feng's battle armor, and thinking back to the Golden Dragon race's Qin Outyin's battle armor, Xiao Chun felt like Nangong Feng came from the countryside. Who knew where he came from? Xiao Chun, now that I'm wearing this set of alloy battle armor, you have no chance of victory against me, Nangong Feng said confidently. Nangong Feng said confidently. This set of battle armor did indeed give off an extraordinary aura, shocking everyone. Xiao Chen did not deny it. This set of battle armor seemed much stronger than it looked on the surface. If they fought, victory would be hard to say. However, Nangong Feng's words were just a casual remark. He was not the only one with this set of battle armor. Xiao Chun, Yun Fei, and the others also had it. Alloy battle armor? Xiao Chun asked, feeling suspicious when he heard Nangong Feng mention it. That's right, it's the alloy battle armor. Nangong Feng smiled faintly and withdrew the battle armor. The silver battle armor immediately turned back into liquid metal and flowed back into his unremarkable black gloves. Seeing the others looking at him curiously, Nangong Feng smiled and continued explaining. The so-called alloy is made by mixing hundreds or even thousands or tens of thousands of divine materials in a precise ratio. Then, a Grandmaster Blacksmith would have to refine them. Only after tens or hundreds of years of continuous tempering can the final alloy be formed. In the martial epoch, divine materials were resources that could be called divine materials in the Great Thousand Realms. They were already considered peak materials and extremely valuable. Divine materials were the strongest metals that naturally existed in the Great Thousand Realms. There were only about 1,000 kinds of metals that could be called divine materials. Without exception, they were all extremely rare existences. Alloys were made by mixing these divine materials through a mysterious formula and tempering them for tens or hundreds of years. Furthermore, a Grandmaster Blacksmith was needed to guarantee a success rate. Then, the martial epoch's strongest metal would be formed. It was easy to imagine the terrifying effects of tens or hundreds of thousands of tempering. Among the 8 super factions, only the Heavenly Alliance was rich and had the most Grandmaster Blacksmiths. Of the 8 super factions, only the Heavenly Alliance, which was rich and had the most Grandmaster Blacksmiths, could forge the alloy battle armor on a large scale and provide every member of the organization with a set. In terms of accumulations, outstanding talents, and peak combat prowess, the Heavenly Alliance was weaker than the other super factions. Without the alloy battle armor, the Heavenly Alliance would not be able to compare to the other super factions. Otherwise, such a wealthy organization would have been destroyed long ago. After hearing Nangong Feng's introduction, the other three's horizons were indeed broadened. Alloy was already extremely precious, yet the Heavenly Alliance forged such a set of alloy battle armor for every member. A super faction truly lived up to its name. Now that they thought about it, the requirements to join the Heavenly Alliance were already so strict. Why did more than 1 million sovereign personages risk their lives to take the test? This was not without reason. The charm and attraction of a super faction were simply too great for a cultivator. I learned all this from my master, Sovereign Emperor Xingge. He once showed me his alloy battle armor and told me a little about it. There is a total of 3 grades of alloy: transcendent alloy, immortal alloy, and eternal alloy. Each grade is split into 9 stars. If we make sufficient contributions to the Heavenly Alliance, we can collect divine materials to continue strengthening the transcendent alloy battle armor. Nan Gongfeng's explanation revealed the Heavenly Alliance's boundless charm, stirring up the imaginations of others. Xiao Chun activated his alloy battle armor. The silver armor, which shone with a flowing light, covered all the vital spots on his body. Xiao Chun's delicate appearance and silver battle armor complemented each other perfectly, making him look valiant and extraordinarily handsome. He was like an immortal soldier or immortal general walking out of a painting. Elegant, cold, proud, noble, extraordinary. Damn, Xiao Chun, you look like a completely different person when you wear this armor. Nan Gongfeng looked at Xiao Chun with some incredulity. This set of armor completely changed Xiao Chun's aura. His normally reserved sharpness, his extraordinary pride, and his hidden domineering aura were all displayed without a doubt. The 3 retreated. The pressure from Xiao Chun was much greater than after Nan Gongfeng put on the alloy battle armor. They quickly activated their own armors. Otherwise, they would not be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun smiled faintly at Nan Gongfeng's praise. Then, he carefully experienced the various mysteries of the alloy battle armor. Interesting. Every part is an inherited Dao tool. However, when put together, it is not messy at all. They are all lightning-attributed inherited Dao tools that are perfectly compatible with me. The Heavenly Alliance's people are really thorough. With the help of this set of armor, the might of my Thunder Dao domain can increase by at least 30%. What was even more mysterious was that Xiao Chun discovered that his strength seemed to affect the alloy battle armor. For example, his physical body was the awakened blue dragon divine body. The alloy battle armor seemed to benefit from it, further strengthening its defense. Suddenly, inspiration flashed in Xiao Chun's mind. He figured something out. This set of alloy battle armor was a set of alloy battle armor. This set of alloy battle armor brought out the Thunder Great Dao not because it was lightning attributed in the first place. Instead, it sensed Xiao Chun's Thunder Dao domain and automatically turned it into the Thunder Great Dao. It was just like how the alloy battle armor's defense strengthened when it sensed Xiao Chun's blue dragon divine body. That was to say, Xiao Chun comprehended the Ice Dao domain. The great Dao that the alloy battle armor brought out might be the Ice Dao. Yun Fei and Qiong Ying discovered this as well. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. The blacksmith who forged this alloy battle armor was indeed a grandmaster. His blacksmithing skills had already reached a level that they could not comprehend. Chapter 21:16 Alloy Battle Armor. A complete set of inherited Dao tools forged from transcendent alloy, Xiao Chun thought. Its practical value already far surpasses that of some inferior grade soul tools. Fortunately, alloy battle armor was hard to forge. If the Heavenly Alliance gave its sovereign personages each a set of alloy battle armor, it would simply be unrivaled. Unifying the entire Great Thousand Realms would not be a problem. Xiao Chun took a look. After the gloves were activated, they turned from black to silver. The ancient divine characters formed by the 7 golden shards on the back of the gloves looked even more mysterious and extraordinary. Xiao Chun also saw similar divine characters on the Heavenly Alliance medallion. However, he did not know what they meant. Around the divine character were 9 stars that formed a circle around it. However, only 1 star was lit at this moment. This meant that this transcendent alloy battle armor was only 1 star. Just 1 star was already so strong. How strong would it be if it was fully lit? Xiao Chun felt anticipation. After entering the Heavenly Alliance, he would be able to wait and see. Dang, 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 dang. While wearing the alloy battle armor, the 4 carefully exchanged moves in the room. Unfortunately, they were in the warship and could not fight without restraint. However, their excitement was indescribable. After the excitement, the 4 reluctantly took off the alloy battle armor. How strong! I really look forward to reaching the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. A super faction is truly unimaginable, Yun Fei said with an excited expression. Xiao Qin's state of mind had already calmed down. He was sitting quietly by the window, drinking a cup of tea and reading the mysterious book, List of All Things. Outside the window was the starry heavens. Countless stars stretched out as far as the eye could see. Through the window, one could see the sea of stars, admiring the countless wonders of the starry heavens. It had to be said that living in this warship was truly a delightful thing. One could eat precious spirit fruits at any time. One could admire the boundless starry heavens outside the window. If one wanted to cultivate, one could use the peak spirit gathering formation and casually consume primeval heavenly pills made from medial-grade spirit jades. For example, Nangong Phone would even call on the pretty maidservants outside to tease them. There were all sorts of furniture in the room. There were casually placed decorations, exquisite screens, and paintings hanging on the walls. Just any one of them would make one ponder for a long time. They were all ancient artifacts, all extraordinary. Occasionally, the four of them would drink tea and chat, exploring martial techniques with each other. They were never bored. He also heard from a maid that there was a tavern inside the warship. If one wanted a drink, they could go there at any time. However, the tavern would charge a fee. In the dark, gloomy, and empty universe, this super battleship made entirely of immortal alloy. In the starry sky, he flew like a phantom of flowing light. It looked as if he was constantly leaping and jumping, walking on the edge of space. If the transcendent alloy battle armor that Xiao Chun and the others were wearing was already priceless, then the value of this warship made of immortal alloy was so horrifying that Xiao Chun and the others did not dare to imagine it. It could only be said that the more he learned, the more he found the owner of this warship, Lord Mu, to be unfathomable. At this moment, in a room filled with colorful lights inside the battleship, Lord Mu was meditating with his eyes closed. In the next moment, he opened his eyes and said calmly, "Come in." Xiao. Without a sound, a gray-robed old man appeared in the room filled with seven-colored light. The old man said respectfully, "Lord Mu, according to your instructions, I have personally looked through the information on these 110 people. I found something interesting." "Oh, tell me about it." Lord Mu raised his eyebrows and asked with interest. He was just following the usual procedure and checking the new member's identity again. Usually, there wouldn't be too much of a problem after going through the examination of the various examination areas. There's nothing special about the others, but there are two people worth mentioning. Which two? Grim Reaper Lin Feng and the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's follower, Xiao Chun. Lord Mu raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, "Tell me, this Lin Feng is a flood dragon human. 200 years ago, he was a genius disciple of the underworld god Hall. Someone made an exception and accepted him. He was a true genius disciple, and the underworld god Hall thought very highly of him. We spent a lot of resources to nurture him. Someone once said that he might become a sovereign emperor before the age of 100. Lord Mu frowned slightly. The underworld god Hall was one of the righteous path's mortal enemies. It was established by the Netherworld's strongest race, the Azura race. Historically, the underworld god Hall had once ruled the abyssal underworld, dealing a catastrophic blow to the human cultivators of the Great Thousand Realms. During the previous Great War between the righteous and demonic factions, the Black Dragon King started it after he ruled the 9 layers of the abyssal underworld. After that, the entire martial epoch was nearly destroyed in that Great War. The world tree broke, the heavenly realm collapsed, and order fell into chaos. To think that Lin Feng was once an underworld god Hall disciple and a flood dragon human. Such a person should not have been allowed to participate in the test. Continue. Lord Mu's interest was completely piqued. The old man nodded and said, "However, 100 years ago, he suddenly betrayed the underworld god Hall and killed more than 100 underworld god Hall elders. Then he crippled his demonic Dao cultivation aside from his death Dao domain. His cultivation fell from Sovereign Emperor to Cloud Sea Star Venerate. Is there a reason for this? Yes. Rumor has it that his lover had an extreme body and caught the eye of the underworld God Hall's Vice Hall Master. For the sake of currying favor with that Vice Hall Master, his master sent his lover away behind his back, completely underestimating Lin Feng's love. After that, such a tragedy happened. Before he left the abyssal underworld, he swore 1,000 cycles of reincarnation oath to the Azura Blood Sea. If he did not destroy the underworld God Hall, he would turn his soul into a malicious spirit, never to reincarnate, wandering the Blood Sea. Even if he died, he wanted to see the underworld God Hall destroyed. After the gray-clad old man finished speaking, Lord Mu's expression turned grave. This oath was extraordinarily heavy. It was no wonder that the assessment area he was in did not suspect his identity. The person who swore such a heavy oath had an irreconcilable relationship with the underworld God Hall. He would rather give up on reincarnation and turn into a malicious spirit to see the underworld God Hall destroyed. This is a troublesome character. Such a person has too much resentment. He might fall into the demonic Tao at any time. This is a double-edged sword. There should be people in the Heavenly Alliance who like such a character. They are good at killing. Lord Mu smiled self-mockingly. After some thought, he said, "Let's talk about Xiao Chun. I'm very curious. Would there be any problems with the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's disciple?" Based on Lord Mu's tone, he seemed to be old friends with the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor and had a pretty good relationship. Clearly, the gray-clad old man knew this. He hesitated before saying, "That is not a problem. However, in truth, he might be even more problematic than the one above." "Oh, what do you mean?" This Lin Feng was a flood dragon human who once joined the underworld God Hall. If he was not careful, he might fall into the demonic Tao. Could Xiao Chen's problem be greater than his? Lord Mu expressed his confusion. It's a long story. He is a demonic genius of the Divine Dragon Empire. He has shown his brilliance long ago and is extremely famous among the mixed blood dragons. However, during the competition between the 7 outer palaces, Ancestor Dragon City's elders suspected that there was a problem with his bloodline. Then, he refused to accept it and refused to test his bloodline. He disobeyed the elders and used the Supreme Dragon Fist to defeat the Golden Dragon race's Qin Mu's Emperor Dragon Fist. Supreme Dragon Fist? Yes, that is the Supreme Dragon Fist. That is the Supreme Dragon Fist created by that strange genius of the Divine Dragon Empire, the Heaven Dragon Cultivator who once shook up the entire Great Thousand Realms. When Lord Mu heard this, he guessed the ending. The Supreme Dragon Fist defeated the Golden Dragon race's Emperor Dragon Fist. It would be strange if the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor could remain calm. Back then, that Heaven Dragon Cultivator nearly scared him to death. Now, how could there be another person who successfully practiced the Supreme Dragon Fist as a member of the dragon race? How could he leave behind future trouble? Lord Mu also understood what the gray-robed elder was talking about. The Bushan Palace behind the 8 great empires was a righteous Tao faction like the Heavenly Alliance in name. Although they fought intensely, they were on the same side. If the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor used the Bushan Palace's name to ask for Lin Feng, things would be difficult. No matter what happened to Lin Feng, the Underworld God Hall would not dare to come to the Heavenly Alliance to ask for Lin Feng. At that time, if the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor heard that the Heavenly Alliance had sent its youngest member in history and learned that it was Xiao Chun, he would definitely not be able to remain calm. "My lord, what do you think?" Lord Mu raised his eyebrows and smiled faintly. "What do I think? Do you think I fear the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor? If the old ancestor of the Golden Dragon bloodline comes, I definitely cannot block him. However, he can forget about it. Even if he cannot sit still, he has to. I, Mu Qing, will protect this Xiao Chun." Chapter 21:17. Hence, one had to break the mundane. However, the fourth move's name was in the mortal realm, which contained profound Buddhist principles. In the current martial epoch, one could only cultivate to faux god at most. One could no longer cultivate to true god. The seemingly simple Buddhist Gatha actually contained all sorts of methods. After comprehending it, one would be able to comprehend the true meaning of this move. Even with the Immortal alloy warship speed, the group traveled only half the distance after traveling for 1 month. 2 months later, Nan Gongfeng said joyfully when he entered the room. Soon, 1 month had passed. Xiao Chun and the others were informed that they had traveled only half the distance. They saw a vast and boundless continent hovering in the dreamy starry heavens in the distance. The golden continent stretched endlessly into the starry heavens. The vast scene that Xiao Chun and the others saw was just the tip of the iceberg for the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. Time passed slowly. As Xiao Chun worked on his saber technique, the Immortal alloy warship approached the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. The surroundings were densely packed with people moving around the huge cauldron, continuously transporting all sorts of materials. Then, more than 1,000 blacksmiths executed hand seals together, using the astral flame to forge secret treasures. Fortunately, Xiao Chun and the others were in their cultivation rooms, unaffected. Xiao Chun's talent and comprehension ability were worth the Heavenly Alliance protecting. Since Lord Mu already made up his mind, there was no need to say anything more. However, after thinking about it, Xiao Chun did not think much of it. Given his current strength, if he used his full power, he would be incredibly huge. There were huge cauldrons more than 30 kilometers tall. Occasionally, lights flickered on this incredibly vast golden continent. The many Grandmaster-level alchemists and blacksmiths of the Heavenly Alliance worked anxiously. However, Xiao Chun did not find this too boring. He had already finished practicing the first 3 moves of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. He could make use of this time to study the middle 3 moves. In the mortal realm, 3 life flower, and colorless killing. The ceiling of the Great Hall was 10 kilometers tall. Complicated and profound formations covered it. Just looking at them made one dizzy. After some thought, Lord Mu said, "Find a time to let this grim Reaper Lin Feng meet me. I want to test him." There are millions of medicinal cauldrons and artifact cauldrons. The Immortal alloy warship seemed to jump through space in the boundless starry heavens, traveling through thousands of stars and heading for the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. At this moment, Xiao Chun glanced back and saw a starry sky outside the window. Fortunately, Xiao Chun had the Sarira left behind by the great limitless Buddha. After fusing with it, his Buddhist nature was already comparable to that of many senior monks and masters. Everyone stepped forward. Yin Fei and the others were somewhat surprised. They did not expect that they would have the opportunity to enter the faux god world to cultivate. The real gods that still existed were those who had survived the previous great war between the righteous path and the demonic path. Really, for the past 1 month, Xiao Chun had mainly studied in the mortal realm. This was a very interesting Buddhist saber technique. The first move of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique was breaking the mundane. There were many troubles in the mundane world, such as birth, aging, sickness, and death, love, hate, and separation. Unfortunately, the saber technique manuals were already scattered in the great thousand realms. It would be difficult to collect them all. The Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique had a total of 11 moves. It was derived from the first move of the primogenitor grade cultivation technique, the Gautama divine palm, and was incredibly mighty. It seemed like someone was refining stars and absorbing the flames of the stars to refine secret treasures. When facing Lord Mu, Xiao Chun and the other peak sovereign personages did not dare to say anything. Be it the might and pressure from Lord Mu or his position in the Heavenly Alliance, Xiao Chun and the others maintained a respectful attitude towards Lord Mu. Right after Lord Mu spoke, pillars of light shot down from the ceiling and encased these Heavenly Alliance newcomers. The many stars in the universe could not withstand his destruction. After all, they could not compare to the Central Great Realm. That place was the center of the martial epic. The entire world contained the epic's power. It was practically impossible to destroy it. Originally, Lord Mu had grasped 3 moves. However, after exchanging with the little monk Yin Shun, he obtained another 3 moves. Nan Gongfeng smiled and said, "The 3 of you have been staying here for the past 2 months. How could you know? The newcomers in our batch definitely have people with strong backgrounds and are well informed." It would not be difficult to go to the taverns and find out about this. When everyone heard Nan Gongfeng's introduction, they found it incredibly mystical. This supercontinent was even larger than many stars. It was truly a little too shockingly large. An immortal realm? The Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. That supercontinent was made up of 7 golden shards. When viewed from the starry heavens, this supercontinent flickered with golden light, looking like a star. Nan Gongfeng and the other 2 rushed over. As they looked at the floating golden continent in the distance, they felt shocked. Even for a sovereign emperor, the Mahania abstinence violation saber technique still possessed strong might. The Heavenly Alliance's headquarters is really ridiculously large. Xiao Chun felt somewhat shocked. He saw many stars floating above the headquarters, looking like mung beans dotting that boundless continent. It was a special space similar to the Heavenly Realm. However, it could not compare to the Heavenly Realm in the end. The gray-robed old man was not surprised by Lord Mu's decision. After all, he was the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's disciple. I, Mu Qing, will protect this Xiao Chun. Soon, an intense collision rang out, and the entire alloy warship shook intensely. Nan Gongfeng nodded and said, "It's true. Only the 8 super factions are qualified to send their new members to the faux god world to cultivate for 10 years. After these 10 years, if we want to enter the faux god world in the future, we will have to pay a huge price. Otherwise, we will have to advance to faux god realm to enter. Time flows very slowly in the faux god world, 10 to 1 compared to the outside world. That is to say, 10 years and there is actually only 1 year in the outside world." Xiao Chun discovered that the 110 new Heavenly Alliance members were in an empty hall, looking around curiously. The warship is preparing to descend on the headquarters. Everyone, please enter the cultivation rooms and do not make any strange movements. The faux god world? Lord Mu's voice rang out in Xiao Chen's ears. Then, he and the other 3 entered the cultivation rooms protected by formations and waited. If they went by themselves, it would take them more than 10 years to reach the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. Lord Mu looked at everyone and said, "According to tradition, the newcomers will be sent to the faux god world for 10 years of bitter cultivation. I hope that you will cherish these 10 years. It was not easy for the Heavenly Alliance to send you in. Remember to abide by the rules of the faux god world. After 10 years, when you come out, you will be official members of the Heavenly Alliance." From the alloy battle armor to the heavenly realm fragment before them, to the faux god world that they were about to enter, Xiao Chun felt that he had become a true member of the Heavenly Alliance. Chapter 21:18. This feeling? Enveloped by the light, Xiao Chun felt an indescribable pressure. It was very uncomfortable, and gradually he even felt some pain. However, Xiao Chun was considered lucky. Among the 110 candidates present, there were already people screaming miserably. Their eyes were bloodshot and blood seeped out. Lord Mu's expression was solemn, and he said nothing. The other elders beside him were not surprised either. So uncomfortable. My eyes. Every realm had newcomers who would die in the process of heading to the Void God Realm. The Void God Realm and the Great Thousand Realms they were currently in were 2 completely different material realms. The flow of time here was 10 times slower than in the Great Thousand Realms. During the teleportation process, one's physical body had to endure the pressure. Lord Mu sincerely wished them good luck. He also hoped that he could help these people. However, there was no other way. Whether or not he could get through this, he could only rely on himself. Actually, a large part of the reason why the Heavenly Alliance's threshold was so high was because it lowered the threshold. Many people could not enter the faux god world, harming themselves instead. However, if one could not enter the faux god world, joining the Heavenly Alliance would be pointless. These 10 years in the faux god world were too crucial. The reason why a superpower could widen the gap between itself and the other powers was because of its core members. No other faction had the privilege of entering the faux god world before advancing to Sovereign Emperor. This was something that no other faction could do. Not to mention the various experiential training grounds in the Void God Realm and the various secret techniques that were hard to find in the outside world. Just the 10-to-1 ratio of time was enough to create a gap between them. Think about it. If you cultivated in the Great Thousand Worlds for a year, then I cultivated in the Void God world for 10 years. It went without saying who would be stronger. So. With a flash of light, Shao Chun and the others disappeared from the spacious hall one by one. Lord Mu was slightly startled. How rare. This batch actually managed to smoothly enter the Void God realm. Not a single person's body exploded along the way. Among the 1 million sovereign personages, the 110 are indeed extraordinary. The gray-robed elder sighed softly. Lord Mu nodded slightly. You go to the headquarters to take over. I'll take them to the sanctuary to report. Yes, my lord. Lord Mu's body slowly turned incorporeal, and he vanished in a thin air. In a daze, Shao Chun opened his eyes. His face was pale, and he seemed to be in a bit of discomfort. Looking around, he realized that most of the others were clutching their heads and squatting on the ground. Fear was written all over their faces. Everything around him was a blur, filled with 7-colored streams of light. Shao Chun knew that this was the reversal of time and space. Very good. I'm very happy. You've all made it. In the past, there would always be people who died while traveling. Lord Mu's figure reappeared in front of everyone. His words made everyone rejoice. In another 15 minutes, we will reach the Void God realm. Right now, come to my side and seize the time to rest. Remember, don't move. Space-time reversal is everywhere. If you enter, you will die unless you're a faux god. Mu Qing's expression was solemn. She formed a seal with her hands, and ripples appeared under her feet. Shao Chun and the others had no idea what was going on, but they still hurried over, not daring to hesitate. When everyone was close, Mu Qing crossed her hands and formed a seal. Light runes condensed into an energy ball that enveloped everyone. We're here, Lord Mu said softly. Immediately, Shao Chun and the others perked up with curiosity. He arrived at the Void God realm. Through the energy ball, everyone hurriedly looked outside. Shao Chun raised his head and saw the endless darkness of the drill. The air was filled with mysterious air currents. The airflow seeped into the energy ball and entered everyone's body, making everyone feel comfortable all over. The discomfort and fatigue from before were all gone. This is the power of the world, the most primitive and ancient power in the world. It forms the foundation of all living beings and non-living beings. Unfortunately, there is very little of it now. You don't need to deliberately absorb and refine this world energy. Your realms are not high enough to comprehend the power of the world. To you, it is like air. Lord Mu said calmly when he saw the joy on everyone's faces. Air? Shao Chun took a deep breath and sighed in his heart. If this was really air, he really wanted to be able to absorb it forever. Shao Chun looked into the distance. The sky was chaotic, and winds and clouds churned. Strange cracks appeared indistinctly in the sky. It was like the Void God realm was not completely separated from heaven and earth. The entire world was gray and hazy, without much color. This place looked very primitive. Even the air felt ancient. Shao Chun looked around. Occasionally, a bright light flashed in his eyes. This place was too mystical. The air of this place actually contained many primitive great Tao. Wind, fire, thunder, and lightning. The Tao of these great Tao merged completely with the air. It was like the primal chaos had yet to split apart. It was fragmented and complicated, very contradictory. However, as he breathed, he could feel the various Tao at any time. Shao Chun had to admit that this was too mystical. The others discovered the various mysterious phenomena as well. Excitement appeared in their eyes. They were right to come to the Void God realm. Lord Mu is too awesome. How did this place form? How was this a heavenly realm ruin? It is clearly a treasure land. A member exclaimed excitedly. Mu Qing said indifferently, This is the primal chaos space. It has existed since the Great Desolate Eon. During the Immortal epoch, it was modified into the Heavenly Court. During the Martial epoch, it became the Heavenly Deity World. Now everyone is used to calling it the Void God realm. To us, this is indeed a treasure land. However, that might not be the case for ordinary people. This place is different from the main world. It cannot give birth to life. Due to the primal chaos, everything here is the most primitive. It is much easier for us to comprehend the great Tao here than in the great Thousand Realms. You can even see some of the laws of space and time and the circulation of great Tao energy with your naked eye. We are about to reach the holy domain. Lord Mu looked into the distance and said indifferently, "The holy domain is the only continent that the faux god realm opened in the primal chaos using the power of the world tree. In the future, you will cultivate and live in the holy domain. Remember to abide by the rules there." Who controls the holy domain? In Xiao Qin's memories, someone seemed to have mentioned the holy domain to him before. However, he had not expected it to be in the void god realm. The master of the holy domain is a true god who managed to survive the previous great war between the righteous factions and demonic factions. However, they can only live in the void god realm now. The flow of time in the outside world is too extravagant for their limited lifespans. Now it is mainly managed by the 8 super factions. True gods still exist. Many people exclaimed in shock. True gods were the peak of the martial Tao. These were legendary existences. Don't make a big fuss. Otherwise, if you disturb some ancient existences, even I will not be able to save you. We have arrived. After Mu Qing finished speaking, she led the group to descend. A complete continent finally appeared in the hazy space. After everyone landed, they felt much more at ease. Earlier, they had been drifting in the air. Even with Lord Mu's protection, they had been on edge. This was the holy domain, the only complete continent in the void god realm. However, what appeared in front of everyone was a seemingly substantial energy barrier that blocked everyone's line of sight, making it impossible to see the appearance of the sanctuary. All right, I will send you off here. Later, a holy domain envoy will come to receive you. You will spend most of your 10 years in the void god realm in the holy domain. Remember to abide by the rules here. After all, my heavenly alliance is not considered strong among the 8 super factions and cannot provide you much protection. If you cause trouble, no one will be able to save you. Lord Mu gave them his final instructions. Ah, Lord Mu, you are leaving? Many people were startled. Unexpectedly, Lord Mu was leaving. Lord Mu smiled faintly and said, "It is just 10 years. 10 years is not long. After 10 years, you will be formal members of the Heavenly Alliance. I look forward to seeing how much you will improve in the next 10 years and whether there will be any changes to your previous ranking." As Lord Mu spoke, 3 figures passed through the barrier and appeared before everyone. The person in the middle arrived before Mu Qing. After the two exchanged a few words, Lord Mu quickly left. "Come with me. Don't worry too much. You just need to cultivate in peace." The Holy Domain treats the members of the 8 super factions equally. The blue-clad Holy Domain envoy said softly. The blue-robed Sacred Domain emissary said softly and pointed with his finger. A mark appeared on everyone's forehead. When they opened their eyes in a daze, they discovered that the earlier barrier had vanished. The magnificent Saint Domain was immediately presented in front of everyone. Chapter 21:19. A group of people blocked the entrance and looked at Xiao Qian coldly. However big the sacred region was, this city was as big as it was. Xiao Qian could not be bothered with them. Although the physical pressure was somewhat great, it was still within the acceptable range of his blue dragon divine body. Xiao Qian shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Then, he prepared to head for the 100,000 steps. Many cities that were hundreds of times smaller than the divine capital hovered in the sky. Many faux gods discussed in soft voices as they watched Xiao Qin's group from these floating cities. Along the way, several cultivators who came down guessed Xiao Qin's identity when they saw his alloy gloves. They all smiled coldly. Soon, the Heavenly Alliance's 100-odd people scattered and started to choose their own houses. Incredible! Even the geniuses of the Universe Origin sect, Bushin Palace, and the other super factions are only at this age. After the Holy Domain envoys took their leave, Xiao Chun, Yin Fei, Qiong Ying, and Nangong Feng gathered together, feeling incredibly excited. They could also sense the faux god world's existence and enter it with their own strength. All right, that's all that needs to be said. I've also told you some of the rules. Now, I'll repeat myself. The true God Palace is a forbidden land. Do not approach. If you disturb the true God, the organizations you are in will be affected. After sorting out his strength, Shao Chun made his preparations. The divine capital had all sorts of facilities. When one cultivated here, one could practically find everything one wanted. Soon, Shao Chun found a courtyard. There was a dim door plate outside. When Shao Chun infused his soul energy, the doorplate flickered with a bright light, revealing Shao Chun's name. A ruthless person. That's right. Rather than paying attention to this person, it is better to pay attention to this generation's Lin phone. I heard that this person comprehended the Death Dao domain. Back then, he destroyed his demonic Dao cultivation technique. Now, he forcefully recultivated. After stepping on it, Shao Chun felt somewhat strange. A formless force pressed down on his physical body. With every step he took, his physical body felt a little uncomfortable. Fortunately, it was still within an acceptable range. This is the Dao Comprehension Platform. There are many praying mats used by true gods. Comprehending the Dao here will definitely yield twice the results with half the effort, and the effects will be remarkable. However, you have to walk up these 100,000 steps one step at a time. If your physical body isn't strong, don't try it. From today onwards, I will live here for 10 years. The Immortal capital is too big. I don't even know where to start. Yunfei said excitedly. If one was not a faux god, even a sovereign emperor would find it extremely difficult to enter this place. Unless one had a good relationship with one of the 8 great powers, or was originally a member of one of the 8 great powers, they could only pay a certain price and enter the void god realm to cultivate. Soaring into the air, Shao Chun flew towards the enlightenment platform in the divine capital. Back then, in the Kunlun realm, Shao Chun and Shao Chun underwent their emperor's tribulation at the same time. The emperor's road that they took was somewhat similar to the 100,000 steps before them. This was a majestic city. The 2 words divine capital intimidated everyone. Divine capital, that is the trial tower, the one that the divine master personally built. If you want to obtain faux god coins, you can go to the trial tower. Haha, we are going off topic. The Heavenly Alliance has never been famous for nurturing geniuses and outstanding talents. Although we call them geniuses and outstanding talents, they're only comparable to the Heavenly Alliance itself. They're still far from comparable to the other super factions. This is the Faux God Plaza, where the inner city and outer city intersect. The divine ranking is there. Many faux god seniors have limited energy and can't be bothered to deal with some minor matters, so they post the ranking here. Aside from this, if something major happens, it will also be posted on the divine ranking. If you have nothing to do, you can come and take a look. Feeling somewhat rueful, Shao Chun suddenly thought of Diwuk. The city was much livelier than everyone expected. As long as one was a faux god, even if one did not belong to one of the 8 super factions, one would be able to enter the city. Ancient words were written at the bottom of the city walls. This city was called the Divine Capital. Or faux god coins. The currency in the Holy Domain's Divine Capital is faux god coins. As long as one has enough faux god coins, one can exchange for any resource. There are so few people, only 100 odd. I heard that they have the youngest newcomer in history, only 47 years old. Shao Chun and the others only raised their heads to take one more look before finding it somewhat unbearable. The world spun around them, and they saw stars, feeling drowsy. Compared to Yunfei, who was at a loss, Shao Chun was very meticulous. He had already made preparations for his plan. There are many empty houses in the divine capital, aside from the ones in the sky. As for the other empty houses, you can choose to use them as your residences for the next 10 years. Whoosh! However, these true gods rarely showed themselves. The True God Palace was also a forbidden land of the Holy Domain's divine capital. No one could get close. The Holy Domain's divine capital was such a city where all the faux gods of the entire martial epic gathered. The courtyard was very large and had an average-sized lake, somewhat similar to Shao Chen's Cold Moon Cave residence in the Heaven Dragon Palace. Shao Chun said calmly, "Let's find an empty house to stay in first. We can use the medallion of interest to contact each other at any time. Let's disperse for now." The barrier vanished, and a 30-kilometer-tall city wall appeared before Shao Chun and the others. This is an arena. You can fight with people or challenge faux beasts. Of course, you need to pay in faux god coins. Plop! Shao Chun immediately knelt on the ground, nearly shattering his knees. The Holy Domain envoys were very responsible, leading the group around the Divine Capital and explaining the rules of the Divine Capital. It's a little strange. Further out were the inner city and outer city, as well as the many houses and buildings outside the city. As for Shao Chun and the others, these were the privileges of the super factions. These were the disciples of the other super factions. They had already been cultivating in the Divine Capital for a long time and could easily deal with the 100,000 steps. The entire Divine Capital was divided into 5 layers. The core was the True God Hall. The true gods who managed to survive the previous great war between the righteous factions and demonic factions lived there. Aside from the core True God Hall, the Faux God Pavilion was next. It was like the Divine Capital's city lord's residence, managed by the faux gods of the 8 super factions. When the true gods did not appear, the Faux God Pavilion could be considered the core of the Divine Capital, managing the Holy Domain's Divine Capital. The various super factions had a limited number of slots for their newcomers to enter the faux god world to cultivate. The most important thing right now is to successfully practice the Mahamaya Abstinence Violation Saber Technique's 4th move in the human realm. After that, I can stabilize my Thunder Dao domain. I'll go to the comprehension platform first. As Shao Chun stood in the pavilion in the courtyard, he looked into the distance. He could see some other cultivators cultivating in their respective pavilions. Aside from the Heavenly Alliance's people, there were also members of the other super factions. Some of them seemed to have been here for a long time already. The Heavenly Alliance? Interesting. To think that they dared to come to the comprehension platform on their first day. The Holy Domain envoy's introduction greatly broadened Shao Chen's horizons. This place satisfied all the cultivation requirements of a cultivator. Sorry, my profound Heaven Holy Land has reserved the comprehension platform for today. Come back tomorrow. However, there is only one. It is far from comparable to the other super factions. The Holy Domain envoy did not find this strange. He said indifferently, the Divine Master wrote these 2 words. Just take a look and don't act rashly. Come with me into the city. I will bring you around to familiarize you with the Holy Domain's Divine Capital. You will be living here for a long time in the future. The Heavenly Alliance's newcomers are here as well. How unfortunate. Shao Chun soared into the air, preparing to look for a remote house. The faux god world was the only continent that the true gods carved out of the remnant world. The Holy Domain was both a continent and a majestic city that Shao Chun and the others had never seen before. Definitely. Shao Chun gently drifted down and landed firmly on the ground. As he stood below, he looked at the 100,000 steps in the distance. It looked like an endless road. Lord Mu was right. Do not be arrogant. Here, you are nothing. If one did not pay attention, they would run into faux god experts. Even if they did not purposely release their auras, one would still find it hard to beat them. The comprehension platform was a 30-kilometer-tall platform with 100,000 steps. At the summit was the comprehension platform with the prayer mat for the true body. Shao Chun felt some pressure. In this holy domain, it made one feel insignificant. The Heavenly Alliance's group moved majestically. As they walked on the street, they immediately attracted attention. Yes, these 10 years are very crucial. If you don't grasp it well, you'll be doomed. If we do not grasp it, we might fall behind others for life. I hope that everyone will not fall behind. Everyone here was a peak sovereign personage. All of them were proud and arrogant people. However, in this place, they had to tuck their tails between their legs. Just as Xiao Chan finished climbing the 100,000 steps and was about to reach the comprehension platform, there was someone who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, using his own aura to compete with the words divine capital. If one looked down from the sky, the 5 layers would appear orderly. They intersected with each other in an indescribable pattern, eventually gathering at the True God Hall. Chapter 2120. The profound Heaven Holy Land was one of the 8 super factions, a colossus that controlled the Shunwu dynasty. The profound Heaven Holy Land possessed deep accumulations, having existed for many years before the previous Great War between the righteous factions and demonic factions. If Xiao Chun recalled correctly, the Heavenly Alliance's sword venerate, Gongzi Lan, seemed to be from the Shunwu dynasty. The tall platform had 100,000 steps. At this point, the surroundings were already shrouded in clouds. A sea of clouds churned, making the place look like an immortal realm. The 100,000 steps were not easy to walk. Anyone would feel upset if they were suddenly told that they had reserved the entire place. Naturally, Xiao Chan was no exception. A total of 4 people blocked him, all of them peak sovereign personages. Xiao Chan could tell that these people had been in the Holy Domain's divine capital for some time. Their auras were exceptionally dense. Their cultivations felt as heavy as a mountain and as vast as the sea. When the 4 stood together, their auras flourished. Xiao Chan looked behind him and discovered that there was no one else on the true God prayer mats on the comprehension platform. It seemed like only one person was comprehending the Tao. "What are you looking at?" "Quickly scram." When the person in the middle saw that Xiao Chan had no intention of leaving, he felt somewhat enraged. He stepped forward and pressed down with his aura. There were 100,000 steps, and every step was filled with immense pressure. The person standing on top of the steps would be able to press down with the momentum of the steps, giving him a huge advantage. Bang! Without saying anything, that person looked down from above and punched at Xiao Chun. A mysterious, profound seal flickered in the fist light. This was the profound Heaven Holy Land's strong martial technique, the profound Heaven Fist. The profound seal light spread out, materializing a 100-meter-wide light wave between the fist light. Many 9 profound seals flowed in the light wave. When that person punched, it was like a small world pressing toward Xiao Chun. Senior Brother Hong Tao's profound Heaven Fist is becoming increasingly exquisite. With one punch, 9 profound seals appear. The newcomer dares to be arrogant. He overestimates himself. The profound Heaven Holy Land disciples at the side smiled coldly. In their minds, their senior brother Hong Tao would knock Xiao Chun into the air in the next moment. After that, Xiao Chun would roll down the 100,000 steps in a sorry state. Dang! However, something unexpected happened. Xiao Chun threw a punch and clashed with it. He, who was at the bottom, took the punch head-on. However, he was like a mountain, not moving an inch. The hazy 10,000 dragons picture appeared indistinctly behind Xiao Chun. Dragon roars came from the 10,000 dragons picture, perfectly blocking this punch. "You want to compete with me in fist arts?" Xiao Chun smiled coldly, and the hazy 10,000 dragons picture behind him suddenly lit up. Supreme Dragon Fist, leaderless dragons. The 10,000 dragons behind him roared out in rage, turning into streaks of fist light that smashed into the 9 seal light. Kacha kacha. In just a moment, the fist aura, which was like a world of 9 seals, shattered. Hong Tao staggered and almost fell. He's from a dragon clan. How strong? What fist technique is this? Its offensive might is nearly on par with Bushin Palace's Qin Ming's Emperor Dragon Fist. The other few people were greatly startled. They did not think that under Xiao Chen's punch, it actually forced senior brother Hong Tao back. This was a newcomer to the Void God realm. Hong Tao's expression turned somewhat unsightly. He roared as he looked at Xiao Chun, and his aura surged out. Hong Tao's long hair fluttered as he shouted coldly and pressed towards Xiao Chun again. A profound seal appeared on his forehead, and the might of this punch was several times stronger than the previous one. Xiao Chun felt slightly stunned. The faux god realm was indeed incredible. However, He arrived a few years earlier, and this person's strength already rivaled that of the Heavenly Alliance's 4 heaven-defying sovereign personages. However, since you are proficient in fist techniques, you are destined to lose this battle. The vast and mighty group of dragons roams the world, entering the sky and sea. Who is honored? The group of dragons is leaderless in the 4 seas and 8 directions. The world is unfair, and the evil dragons rule. Who is honored? Commanding the group of dragons. Without even thinking, Shao Chun executed the Supreme Dragon Fist's second move. A tyrannical aura that made the group of dragons submit to him appeared in his fist light. Bang! After forcefully receiving the other party's punch, Shao Chun grunted but did not take a step back. Regretless Heaven Dragon. Shao Chun executed the Supreme Dragon Fist's third move again. A terrifying, offensive aura surged out from Shao Chun. The boundless aura turned into lofty aspirations, gathering in Shao Chun's punch. When he punched, it was like a regretless Heaven Dragon. It carried a sense of determination and self-sacrifice as it pressed forward, not retreating, but advancing instead. Damn it, what fist technique is this? Is so tyrannical. Hong Tao cursed in his heart. His fist technique clearly surpassed the other parties. His cultivation also firmly suppressed the other parties. However, the offensive aura of the other party's fist technique forcibly suppressed his fist's momentum, forcing him to retreat. Bang! 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 After another 3 punches, Shao Chun stepped onto the tall platform. As 10,000 dragons roared, he knocked the other party back. Plop! Hong Tao fell to the ground, and blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. Hong Tao looked at Shao Chun in horror, confusion filling his eyes. To think that he lost to the other party's fist technique. Senior brother Hong Tao. The others were greatly startled. They quickly went over and helped Hong Tao up. At the same time, Hong Tao looked at Shao Chun and raged. What a fellow! You just arrived, and yet you dare to injure the people of our profound heaven-holy land. Don't you know that this comprehension platform is the territory of our profound heaven-holy land? Letting you come tomorrow is already giving face to a newcomer like you. Shao Chun smiled coldly in his heart. He retorted indifferently. Giving face? Never mind. My face is too thin, and I can't take it. The Holy Domain Envoy did not tell me that I have to give face to your profound heaven-holy land when I come to the comprehension platform to cultivate. The Supreme Dragon Fist truly lives up to its reputation. However, this is not a place for you to behave atrociously. A person comprehending the Tao suddenly opened his eyes. His voice contained the sound of the great Tao. At first, Shao Chun did not care. Then, it gradually became deafening like a great bell, dong dong dong, accompanied by the rumbling great Tao, surging and roaring like a surging river. It was just one sentence, but it made Shao Chun's chi and blood surge. He vaguely felt cracks appear in his internal organs. As his chi and blood surged, his face flushed and his throat tasted sweet. He could not help vomiting a mouthful of blood. The Tao voice spread out, scattering the clouds in the surroundings and spreading throughout the entire divine capital. In an instant, many cultivators cultivating their caves opened their eyes and looked towards the comprehension platform. They were all surprised. Isn't Mu Yunju coming out of closed-door cultivation tomorrow? Something's not right. It seems like someone interrupted him. I wonder who it is. Interesting, Mu Yunju seems to have gained a lot from this comprehending. Let's go take a look. Several super faction members felt somewhat curious. They either went to the highest floors of their residences or flew over, wanting to see what was going on. Pussy-eye. In the end, Shao Chun could not hold back and vomited a mouthful of blood. As Shao Chun knelt on one knee, the Tao voice lingered in his ears, lingering for a long time. The other party's great Tao directly merged with his soul energy and entered deep into Shao Chun's soul pool. With just one sentence, it achieved the effect of Shao Chun's candle dragon eyes. Senior Brother Mu, seeing this person open his eyes, the other profound heaven-holy land disciples quickly knelt in horror. We are useless. Someone interrupted Senior Brother Mu's comprehension. Senior Brother, please punish us. Hong Tao showed a horrified expression, not daring to look. He really should not have done this. Had he known, he would have attacked together and directly chased this trash away. Hong Tao only hated himself for underestimating the other party. Unexpectedly, a Heavenly Alliance newcomer grasped such a terrifying fist technique. Stand up and speak. Kneeling before an outsider is unbecoming, Mu Yinzhu said indifferently as he slowly stood up. Mu Yinzhu said indifferently as he slowly stood up. He wore profound robes of alternating blue and white. Mu Yinzhu's expression was stern, and he gave off a frightening sharpness. So, it is a Heavenly Alliance newcomer. It's over. He just arrived, and he already obtained the profound Heaven Holy Lands Mu Yinzhu. This Mu Yinzhu ranks third among the 200-odd people of the profound Heaven Holy Land. He is terrifyingly strong. How can a newcomer who just entered the faux god world block him? Some of the onlookers sighed after seeing from afar. Mu Yinzhu looked around and fixed his gaze on Xiao Chun, who knelt on one knee. His expression turned cold, and disgust flashed in his eyes. Where did this dog come from? How ignorant! Scram! Mu Yinzhu, try and touch him if you dare. Just as Mu Yinzhu prepared to attack, a melodious, pleasing voice rang out from the 100,000 steps. Her voice was pleasing to the ear, but the anger and killing intent in her voice caused one to tremble in fear and tremble all over. Mu Yinzhu's expression changed slightly, and his movements paused. Doubt flashed in his eyes. Why is this person from the Bushin Palace suddenly interfering in the profound Heaven Holy Lands matters? Chapter 21:21. The first thing to appear on the 100,000 steps was a small bird covered in feathers that looked like burning flames, glistening with golden light. The moment this bird appeared, the profound Heaven Holy Land disciples on the comprehension platform retreated in horror. Even Mu Yunju's expression changed slightly. However, he did not move back. Soon after, the main character appeared. It was a petite girl with an impressive figure and a youthful face. The person who arrived was the Golden Crow Empire's solar divine daughter, Ao Jiao. Ao Jiao glanced at Mu Yunju and said coldly, "You'd best pray that nothing happens to him." While Mu Yunju spoke, Ao Jiao strode over to Xiao Chen's side to check on Xiao Chen's condition. The other party's Dao voice invaded Xiao Chen's soul pool, causing his soul to be shaken. It was somewhat difficult to treat, but it was not a fatal injury. After resting for a while, Xiao Chen was fine. Unexpectedly, when we meet again, it would be in such a situation. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. Upon hearing Ao Jiao's voice, Xiao Chen knew that the other party had arrived. He felt somewhat embarrassed, letting the other party see his weak side. However, such thoughts only existed for an instant. Xiao Chen's joy at seeing Ao Jiao again diluted it. Seeing that Xiao Chen was fine, Ao Jiao's worried heart immediately relaxed. She glared at Xiao Chen and said, "Idiot, what are you saying? If I were one step later, you would have fallen off these 100,000 steps. That would be very painful." A scene of him rolling down the 100,000 steps and falling to the ground appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. Xiao Chen rolled down 100,000 steps and fell to the ground. Before he could get up, Ao Jiao happened to see this scene. Xiao Chen immediately smiled faintly. In comparison, his current situation was much better. "How did you get here?" Xiao Chen asked out of curiosity. Being able to see Ao Jiao in the faux god world was truly a pleasant surprise. Ao Jiao's lips curled up as she said, "Don't you know? The 8 great empires are backed by the Bushin Palace. After I met the requirements, I naturally could enter." Xiao Chen suddenly understood. Actually, as long as he thought about it carefully, he would be able to figure it out. He hadn't seen Ao Jiao for a long time, and his brain wasn't working well. The disciples of the super forces who were watching from the outside were all stunned. They had never expected that the Bushin Palace's Ao Jiao would stand up for a newcomer from the Sky Alliance. Damn, what's the background of this newcomer? The Sun Goddess seems to have known him for a long time. It can't be. My goddess is gone just like that? It's hard to say. Judging from their words and actions, They clearly have a close relationship. Many disciples of the super forces looked at the enlightenment platform with envy and confusion. I say, are the two of you done being intimate? Mu Yunju's expression turned somewhat unsightly. It was already bad enough that Ao Jiao stopped him from making a move. However, after she arrived, she completely ignored his existence. When Ao Jiao heard that, she turned around and said, Mu Yunju, since you are done comprehending, don't occupy the comprehension platform. Earlier, everyone gave you face and did not want to disturb your comprehension. Don't think that this comprehension platform really belongs to your profound heaven holy land. What if I don't leave? Mu Yunju's lips curled up slightly as he smiled coldly. You interrupted my comprehension, and you want to chase me away? Ao Jiao, do you really think that I, Mu Yunju, fear you? Whoosh! Before Ao Jiao could say anything, little yellow feather gently spread its wings. Immediately, rings of resplendent solar true flame flew towards the profound heaven holy land's people. Whoosh! 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 A strong wind blew, and the solar true flame containing divine might spread out, surging over with vast divine might. Mu Yunju threw a palm strike and scattered most of the solar true flame. However, he was still forced back several steps. While Mu Yunju was fine, the other profound heaven holy land disciples found this somewhat unbearable, forced into a dead end. Come back. Ao Jiao called out softly. Little yellow feathers circled around and landed on Ao Jiao's shoulder. Golden Crow. Mu Yunju stared at little yellow feather, his eyes filled with dissatisfaction. How hateful! To think that such a pure-blooded holy beast actually appeared in the martial epic. Furthermore, it was tamed by someone. Although it was still young, with the help of this golden crow, they would not be able to gain any advantage against Ao Jiao. Let's go, Mu Yunju said coldly. Mu Yunju said coldly. When he passed by Xiao Chun, his body paused slightly. Then, he said indifferently, Trash. If not for hiding behind a woman, I would be able to destroy you with one hand. Xiao Chun said softly, Is that so? In that case, try and pinch me. Mu Yunju immediately smiled coldly in his heart. I was just waiting for you to say that. Then, he turned around and kicked up a strong wind at Xiao Chun, making it hard for Xiao Chun to open his eyes. If you dare to exchange one move with me, I will only need one move. If I cannot defeat you, I will give you 1,000 faux god coins. When Ao Jiao heard that, she raised her eyebrows but did not say anything. She understood Xiao Chun. He had always been calm and would not make a rash decision. She asked softly, Are you confident? Right now, I am indeed not as strong as him. However, I should have no problem receiving one move from him. Ao Jiao nodded slightly and moved to the side without saying anything more. This was trust, the tacit understanding and trust that came from living together in the Kunlun realm for 20-odd years, going through life and death together. Is he seeking death? What is this? Mu Yunju has been in the faux god world for 4 years already. His light Dao domain has reached the 2nd layer, and his profound heaven art has reached the 3rd layer. Among the profound heaven holy land disciples, his strength is firmly within the top 5. Young people still cannot take the provocation. With the golden crow around, this Mu Yunju cannot touch him at all. To think that he took the initiative to jump out. When the many watching super faction disciples saw this scene, they all felt it strange. Even if it was just one move, if the difference in strength was too great, even if one could not kill in the divine capital, it would still be sufficient to make Xiao Chun Betterton for a year and a half. Xiao Chun had wasted a lot of cultivation time. In the faux god world, the most valuable thing for everyone was time. Xiao Chun looked at Mu Yunju and asked, How do we decide victory with one move? Mu Yunju smiled coldly and said, Whoever retreats loses. If you lose, I do not need you to do anything. If you do not retreat, consider it my loss. I will give you 1,000 faux god coins. Mu Yunju's words were filled with absolute confidence. He did not believe that Xiao Chun could win at all. As long as Xiao Chun dared to receive a palm strike from him, Mu Yunju was confident of severely injuring the other party to vent the hatred in his heart. It would be worth it, Xiao Chan said indifferently. I don't want your faux god coins. If you lose, you will roll off these 100,000 steps. Unfortunately, I can't lose. You simply don't know how big the gap between us is. Mu Yunju laughed maniacally and directly attacked. Whoosh! A resplendent light burst out of Mu Yunju's body. The comprehension platform gave off a light as dazzling as the sun. Everyone within 5,000 kilometers could feel the piercing light. At the same time, a terrifying Tao might erupted from Mu Yunju's body. Before Mu Yunju made a move, his Tao might was sufficient to knock many ordinary sovereign personages into the air. Light Tao Domain, peak second layer. No wonder Mu Yunju was so angry. It turns out that he was trying to break through to the Tao Domain's third layer on the comprehension platform. In the end, Xiao Chun interrupted him. You can't speak carelessly. Even if he was not interrupted, he might not be able to reach the Tao Domain's third layer. However, it looks like this Heavenly Alliance newcomer will definitely lose. Look at his Tao Domain. He has not even stabilized the first layer yet. The difference is too great. Before Mu Yunju made a move, the strong Tao might coming from him already made everyone think that Xiao Chun had already lost. I'll show you the true, profound Heaven Fist 100 seal opening. Mu Yunju roared. Then, he punched with his second layer light Tao Domain. 100 profound seals formed a wave of light on the fist light and ferociously punched at Xiao Chun. Wherever the fist light passed, a small world was formed, and it swept through everything before it. Even space itself was slightly warped and rippled like water. Terrifying. This punch allowed everyone to witness Mu Yunju's strong strength again. They now knew that while this person was arrogant, he did have the capital to be arrogant. Idiot master, don't let him injure you. When Ao Jiao saw the situation, she frowned heavily. She could not help worrying for Xiao Chun, afraid that he would get careless. Great desolate Ian bloodline, alloy battle armor, only I am supreme. Xiao Chun did not dare to be careless. He instantly activated his various trump cards. He instantly activated his great desolate Ian bloodline, and the alloy battle armor covered his entire body. In an instant, silver battle armor covered Xiao Chun's entire body. After that, without even thinking, Xiao Chun stepped forward and used offense as defense. Supreme Dragon Fist, only I am supreme. The 10,000 dragons picture appeared behind Xiao Chun. Then, he used the Supreme Dragon Fist's strongest killing move to clash. It was not over yet. Martial and soul as one. The instant Xiao Chun attacked, he entered the state of martial and soul as one. The fist light that burst out immediately made the world pale. Aside from Xiao Chun's fist light, only black and white remained on the comprehension platform. Bang! The two fists clashed, and a thunderous sound shook the surroundings. A terrifying light wave radiated in all directions. The ancient comprehension platform seemed to tremble slightly. Martial and soul as one. Be it the alloy battle armor or the great desolate Ian bloodline, they were not shocking. This was because everyone could feel the great desolate Ian bloodline in Xiao Chun. Naturally, the people of the Heavenly Alliance would have alloy battle armor. Mu Yunju must have taken all this into account. However, be it Mu Yunju or the watching super faction disciples, none of them expected Xiao Chun to have comprehended martial and soul as one. This was a state that even sovereign emperors dreamed of. A resplendent light erupted from the comprehension platform. It was too piercing and eye-catching, preventing people from seeing the situation inside. Who lost? After Xiao Chun entered the state of martial and soul as one, the crowd felt that something unexpected might happen in the originally one-sided situation. However, at this crucial moment, they could not see the situation inside. This immediately made them anxious. Chapter 21-22. When the light scattered, Xiao Chun's and Mu Yunju's figures slowly appeared before everyone's eyes on the comprehension platform. Xiao Chun retreated. However, The one who retreated was not Xiao Chun, but Mu Yunju. One move to decide the victor. If Xiao Chun could receive one move and not retreat, it would be Xiao Chun's victory. However, no one expected Xiao Chun to use offense as defense. He wore the alloy battle armor, activated his great desolate Ian bloodline, and used the Supreme Dragon Fist's strongest killing move under Martial and Soul as one to force Mu Yunju back. To think that Mu Yunju got knocked back. Mu Yunju paled on the comprehension platform. He had anticipated everything. He had even anticipated the horrifying eruption of the Supreme Dragon Fist. However, he had not expected Xiao Chun to grasp the mysteries of Martial and Soul as one, perfectly merging the will of Soul and the martial Tao. The will of the martial Tao was boundlessly ethereal. Only cultivators with an extremely high mental state, able to discern their true self at all times, could sense it. Many people cultivated their entire lives, only knowing how to get stronger. They might not even sense their own will of the martial Tao when they died. It was already extremely rare for one to sense one's own will of the martial Tao. Furthermore, one could perfectly merge it with the will of Soul. This was a level that anyone would be envious of. Whoosh! A golden light flowed in Xiao Chen's eyes as he withdrew his move and moved back. A trace of his will appeared at the corner of his lips. Honestly speaking, Mu Yunju's injuries were even more severe than the other parties. This was how offensive techniques worked. After continuously receiving injuries, one's aura would always be stronger than the other parties. Injuring the enemy by 1,000 while injuring oneself by 800 was unrivaled within the same cultivation realm. If the other party's cultivation was much higher than his, he might not be able to last before the other party died. Mu Yunju, it is already clear who won and who lost. You can scram now. Ao Jiao walked over. Her eyes narrowed as she smiled into crescent moons, her youthful face filled with mischief. Mu Yunju gritted his teeth, showing an uncertain expression. Getting off before everyone was a great humiliation. How could Mu Yunju do such an embarrassing thing? However, he was the one who suggested this bet. If he did not do it, no one would believe him in the future. He would not be able to survive in the faux god world. Senior brother, I'll scram for you. Hong Tao, who was at the side, felt anxious. Mu Yunju was one of the faces of the profound Heaven Holy Land. If he left, the profound Heaven Holy Land would lose a lot of face. Without waiting for Mu Yunju's reply, Hong Tao rolled on the ground and landed on the 100,000 steps. Come back. Mu Yunju shouted and forcibly grabbed Hong Tao. Then he said, I'll scram by myself. After that, Mu Yunju looked coldly at Xiao Chun and said sullenly, Today, you made me scram down these 100,000 steps. Next time, I, Mu Yunju, will make you kneel down step by step on these 100,000 steps. Looking at the grievances he had suffered, his face was filled with unwillingness, and he wanted to work hard. Xiao Chun could not bear to watch this any longer. He said indifferently, Interesting. You have two mouths, but you have already said everything. Even if you admit defeat, you still have to gnash your teeth in anger. Who was it that thought that my cultivation was low and wanted to provoke me into a bet to teach me a lesson? Isn't it you, Mu Yunju? Who was it that monopolized the comprehension platform, acting tyrannically and wanting to teach someone a lesson after come and take a look? Now, you dug a hole for yourself, and you still want to take revenge on me. Mu Yunju, this is all you are capable of. Quickly scram. Have you not embarrassed yourself enough? You. Mu Yunju felt ashamed of himself. His face flushed red, appearing flustered and exasperated. You're not convinced? Do you think that I only won against you with Martial and Soul as one? You only won against me because you came to the faux god world a few years earlier. Give me half a year, and I will be able to defeat you. Xiao Chun believed that he would have no problem defeating such a narrow-minded person who dragged his feet in half a year. If Mu Yunju had immediately scrammed off without saying anything else, Xiao Chun would have a higher opinion of him and remind him to be careful of this person in the future. Now that Mu Yunju acted like this, he could not even afford to lose. How could he be magnanimous? Very well. I, Mu Yunju, will give you half a year. After half a year, I will definitely wash away today's humiliation. Dong, dong, dong. Mu Yunju felt extremely sullen. Right after he spoke, he did not say anything more, just scramming off with a sullen expression. Senior brother, the profound Heaven Holy Lands people immediately panicked. They looked at Xiao Chun and said, "You are dead for sure. This girl has less than half a year left in the faux god world. Let's see what you will do then." After glaring at Xiao Chun, these people quickly chased after Mu Yunju. When Xiao Chun heard that, he felt slightly stunned. Then he looked at Ao Jiao and said, "You are leaving in half a year? Is that half a year in the outside world or half a year in the faux god world?" During the half a year in the faux god world, the members of the other super factions can enter the faux god world. As long as they meet the requirements, they can enter. There are many slots. There's no need to be like the Heavenly Alliance, which uses up all the slots for the next 500 years. Now that I think about it, I have been here for a long time already. Ao Jiao revealed a smile as she explained to Xiao Chun. Unfortunately, they managed to meet each other after so much difficulty. To think that they could only interact for half a year. Hee hee. Actually, there's no need to find it unfortunate. After you leave, you can come to the Golden Crow Empire to look for me at any time. I only need to wait for you in the outside world for 1 year. Oh, right, Lu Ryue came to the faux god world as well. However, she does not seem to remember anything. She has no impression of me at all. Ao Jiao said with wide eyes, finding it strange. Xiao Chun felt excited. He had not expected Lu Ryue to come to the faux god world as well. However, after thinking about it, the 8 great empires all relied on the Bushin Palace. If nothing unexpected happened, Xiao Chun would enter the Bushin Palace as well. Perhaps he would enter the faux god world through the Bushin Palace. It would not be strange for Lu Ryue to come. What's wrong with you? Why are you so calm after hearing that Lu Ryue is here? Ao Jiao asked with a smile as she blinked. Xiao Chun recovered his wits and said somewhat dispiritedly, "I already met her. The White Dragon King sealed her memories, so she does not have much of an impression of me. I do not know how to face her, either. I can only help her recover her memories after I grow stronger." "You're really silly. I heard that she is still single and has rejected countless suitors. How could it be that easy to forget her memories of Qingyan Peak? There are definitely some unforgettable feelings in there. Can't you try to get her back? She is still single now. But what if she gets abducted before she recovers her memories? You won't even be able to cry then." Ao Jiao scolded Xiao Chun, rendering him speechless. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. It made sense. However, he was not very good at this. "I'll slow down first. Since the comprehension platform is empty, I'll comprehend my Tao first." Xiao Chun did not have any good ideas for now. He could only make a mental note and finish what he was doing first. Seeing Xiao Chun sitting cross-legged on a true god prayer mat, Ao Jiao sighed helplessly. However, when she saw a little yellow feather flying over, she smiled happily. What a fool. He is still as silly as before. Little yellow feather, don't you think so? Xiao Chun was indeed silly, a silly, clumsy blockhead. However, he was still him. He was still the trashy master that made Ao Jiao worry for him, helpless and heartbroken. Little Yellow Feather's disdainful voice rang out in Ao Jiao's mind. He is definitely stupid, but not necessarily silly. Back then, if not for this little brother fanning the flames, who knows when this foolish fellow would have arrived on the island. Fortunately, he did something in the end. He is not hopelessly stupid. When Ao Jiao heard that, she immediately blushed slightly. She said bashfully, "If you keep speaking nonsense, I'll hit you." "Ha ha ha. I'm not speaking nonsense. It's the truth. Ha." The young woman and the golden crow happily played around on the comprehension platform. After a while, Ao Jiao grabbed Little Yellow Feather and said, "That's enough. Don't be noisy. Xiao Chun is comprehending." "All right, I won't be noisy. I won't be noisy. Ga, Ga, Ga." Just at this moment, a strange cry rang out. A scarlet light appeared on Xiao Chen's body. The demon blood vulture appeared with bloodshot eyes. Then, It flew towards the golden crow excitedly. Ga, 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 Ga. Ao Jiao frowned slightly. This should be Xiao Qin's demonic pet. However, why does it feel somewhat silly? Golden crow. Golden crow. The demon blood vulture was a mutated demonic pet with a trace of a divine beast bloodline. It immediately felt the pure divine might from the golden crow and could not control its excitement. This situation was like a human cultivator seeing an idol that they worshipped for a long time. Who are you? Big brother. I'm the demon blood vulture. When the demon blood vulture saw that the golden crow actually responded to it, it immediately became even more excited. That's not right. I should call you Bird King. Golden Feather Great King, I'll follow you. Ha ha ha. That's easy, that's easy. Your master used to follow me as well. You have good eyes. I'll take in this little brother. Little Yellow Feather cackled. Chapter 21-23. Tao Comprehension Platform. Xiao Chen sat cross-legged on the true God praying mat. Soon, he felt the Tao rhyme contained within the praying mat, which spread out in front of him like an ocean. It was like he was sitting cross-legged in a sea formed by the Tao, forgetting himself and the world. He opened his mind, and all he could see were the Tao marks left behind by the various experts and seniors, and they formed a myriad of phenomena and worlds. The thousands of Taos appeared incredibly complicated. Xiao Qin calmed his heart and sought the Tao. In this world, he materialized the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique in the mortal realm. In an instant, the myriad of phenomena disappeared, leaving only Xiao Qin's phenomenon in the human world. With the nurturing of the Grand Tao Ocean, Xiao Qin was able to develop all sorts of thoughts in his heart to the limit. It was truly boundlessly profound, causing one to click one's tongue in wonder and forget everything as they immersed themselves within it. After a while, he turned into a Buddha. His face was expressionless as he looked around coldly. Who is in the human world? Buddha is in the human world. He used the swastika Buddha's seal to summon the supreme killing Buddha to descend into the world. With the might of the Buddha, he shocked the world and stabilized the seas and 8 desolate lands. A moment later, killing intent filled the sky and gathered at the swastika on his forehead. Who is in the human world? I am in the human world. The Buddha is me, and I am the Buddha. With the saber in my hand, I walk the world on behalf of the Buddha, subduing demons and vanquishing demons. As the mysterious phenomena materialized became more and more varied, Xiao Qin gradually came to a realization. So that's how it is. Whether Buddha is in the human world or I am in the human world, it doesn't matter. The Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique's 4th move, in the mortal realm, depended on how one comprehended it and what to choose. On the other hand, the Buddha in the human world was inclined towards defense and deterrence. It summoned the killing Buddha to defend against attacks from all directions and deterred the small evils in the human world. When I am in the mortal world, my murderous intent is even heavier. I am walking the mortal world on behalf of Buddha. I am Buddha, and Buddha is me. The saber in my hand can start a massacre. Those who do not respect me are all evil demons. How domineering. After Xiao Qin understood this, he was somewhat astonished. He did not expect that the Buddhist sect, which was known for its benevolence and virtue, would have such a tyrannical martial technique. But on second thought, there was no need to make a fuss about it. Only the strong could be merciful, because only the unrivaled could make a merciful choice. The weak couldn't even survive themselves, so how could they be merciful? How could they pity others? The phrase Buddha is merciful was actually the truth of Buddhism. The strong were invincible and compassionate. The weak were useless and begged for their lives. Xiao Qin didn't want to think too deeply about such profound principles. Right now, he had 2 choices in front of him. Am I in the human world, or is Buddha in the human world? One was attacking while the other was defending. After pondering for a while, Xiao Qin made a choice. He chose to guard the Buddha in the human world. Xiao. After making his choice, the mysterious phenomena that he had conjured all disappeared, leaving only a single one. It was an unparalleled killing Buddha. It turned into a strand of Buddhist light, and entered the space between Xiao Chen's brows. The true meaning of being in the mortal realm was comprehended at this point. Xiao Chen opened his eyes and looked around. There were already many people sitting on the prayer mats beside him. Looking around, Ao Jiao and the blonde had already disappeared from the enlightenment platform. After capturing someone, Xiao Chen asked, "This brother, do you know how long I have been comprehending on this enlightenment platform?" "The Heavenly Alliances, Xiao Chen?" That person initially appeared somewhat impatient. However, when he saw Xiao Chen's appearance, he asked uncertainly, "That is me. So it is you. 1 month has already passed since your conflict with Mu Yunju. You are really something. You just arrived, and you already made Mu Yunju roll off the enlightenment platform. You ended up benefiting us. However, speaking of which, you have to be careful. Mu Yunju already said that he would come and look for you half a year later." It turned out that 1 month had already passed. This made sense. On the Enlightenment Sea, Xiao Chen materialized the various mysterious phenomena in the human world to their limits. Finally, he confirmed the 2 correct choices. Immersed in it, Xiao Chen forgot about the flow of time. "Many thanks." Xiao Chen expressed his thanks and left alone. After 1 month, Ao Jiao should have returned already. In the Void God Realm, everyone only had 10 years of time. Time was limited, and no one could waste it. Without thinking too much, Xiao Chen headed back to his residence. Xiao Chen had started practicing the Mahomaya Abstinence Violation Saber Technique's 4th move in the mortal realm in the drill ground of his residence. He had already comprehended the true meaning of the Mahomaya Abstinence Violation Saber Technique on the comprehension platform. Xiao Chen executed it in one go without any hindrance. He had chosen Buddha in the world, so it was destined that this move would not be able to cause too much damage. It was more focused on defense and deterrence. However, this effect was what Xiao Chen wanted. In terms of killing, the might of the Mahomaya Abstinence Violation Saber Technique's 3rd move, Entering Hell, was already sufficient as a powerful killing move. The various saber moves of the Mahomaya Abstinence Violation Saber Techniques did not differ in strength. Each move had its own specialties, suitable for specific environments. There was no difference in strength. Every move was a killer move that could be used as a trump card. As he became more familiar with the mortal realm, Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and entered deep thought. Each move of the Mahomaya Abstinence Violation Saber Technique could be a killing move. However, one could not directly use a killing move in a regular fight. Furthermore, one could not keep up with the expenditure. In the past, Xiao Chen had the 1,000 army break to make up for this. However, now that he was a sovereign personage, the 1,000 army break clearly could not keep up with his cultivation. In the Holy Domain's divine capital, one could obtain cultivation techniques, martial techniques, divine weapons, and any other resources one wanted. Of course, one needed faux god coins. Whoosh! Just at this moment, Xiao Chen saw a figure approaching from afar, flying towards him. It was Ao Jiao. When Xiao Chen saw the other party, he waved his hand and removed the restriction around his residence. "Congratulations. Those who can last 1 month on the comprehension platform must have gained something," Xiao Chen said with a smile. After Ao Jiao landed, she said with a smile, "Little Yellow Feather and the Demon Blood Vulture chased after her in the air." Xiao Chen took a look and fixed his gaze on Ao Jiao. Then he smiled softly and said, "Fortunately, I comprehended the true meaning of a killing move. I did not waste 1 month." Ao Jiao suggested to Xiao Chen, Let's go to the trial tower." Most newcomers would go to the trial tower first after familiarizing themselves with it. Firstly, they could verify their strength, and secondly, earn faux god coins. Should I go after some time? I still have room for improvement. The Holy Domain envoy once introduced the trial tower to Xiao Chen. It was the first way for newcomers to earn faux god coins. However, Xiao Chen feared that the faux god world had a limit. If he was not strong enough, he would be wasting this opportunity. It's fine. The trial tower does not have a limit. We can go at any time. Let's go then. After chatting for a while, the two arrived before the trial tower in the divine capital. The Tower of Trials was situated in the middle of the largest lake in the divine capital. A small path paved with bamboo and would lead directly to the Tower of Trials. This was a pagoda made of jade. It had a total of 81 floors, looking like a sword piercing the clouds. The trial tower had not opened yet, so many cultivators gathered at the entrance. Most of them were from the Heavenly Alliance, waiting in line. As Xiao Chun sized up the trial tower, he asked out of curiosity, "How do I earn faux god coins?" Ao Jiao explained, "You will obtain the corresponding faux god coins by breaking through the corresponding floor. Everyone has only one chance. This is the basic faux god coins. On top of this, if one performs well, there will be additional rewards." Perform well? Yes. The time taken to clear each floor is recorded. If you can enter the top 10, it will be considered an outstanding performance. If you can break the record, it will be incredible. You will obtain a large number of faux god coins. You might even attract the attention of the older generation faux gods, who will give you pointers behind closed doors in the faux god world. So that was the case. The trial tower really had many benefits. Not only could one test one's strength, but one could also obtain faux god coins. If one performed well, one could even attract the attention of faux god powerhouses. Xiao Chun. Several people from the Heavenly Alliance recognized Xiao Chun. They had gotten to know each other on the way here. When they saw Xiao Chun arrive, they greeted him. Xiao Chun nodded slightly and responded to all of them. Suddenly, Xiao Chun noticed a stone stele in front of the trial tower. Many people were looking at it. This is the glory stele. The names of the record holders of each floor are recorded there. Xiao Chun went over and looked from top to bottom. The top row was empty. There was no record of anyone clearing the 81st floor. Xiao Chun continued looking, and a familiar yet unfamiliar name entered his eyes. The record holder of the 80th floor, the Universe Origin Sex, Chu Chaoyan. Xiao Chun was stunned for a while. Then he muttered, "Is this the Chu Chaoyan I know?" Chapter 21-24. Chu Chaoyan? Is that the Chu Chaoyan I know? Ordinary people could not come into contact with the 8 super factions. They only knew of their existence on the surface. The Universe Origin Sex faction on the surface was the Tianwu dynasty of the 3 dynasties, a major faction that ruled the Central Great Realm. The person who broke the Trial Tower's 80th floor record was the Universe Origin Sex, Chu Chaoyan. That was to say, if Xiao Chen's guess was right, he should be from the Tianwu dynasty. He might be the Chu Chaoyan that Xiao Chen knew. The one who used the divine item that the Tianwu Emperor left behind to come to the Great Thousand Realms from the Kunlun realm was Chu Chaoyan. Ao Jiao gave Xiao Chen a definite answer. Then she said softly, "That's right. It is that Chu Chaoyan that you know. I met him once 5 years ago. However, he caught the eye of a powerhouse in the faux god world long ago and received closed-door guidance. It is hard to say whether he is still in the faux god world or not." It really is him. Xiao Chun could not help recalling. After a while, he asked, "Why do you say that it is hard to say whether he is still in the faux god world or not?" Ao Jiao explained, "According to the rules of the faux god world, after one becomes a divine vein realm sovereign emperor, one has to leave even before the 10 years are up. Chu Chaoyan possesses outstanding talent, but I am not sure. Furthermore, he received closed-door guidance from a powerhouse in the faux god world. He might have already become a divine vein realm sovereign emperor." When Xiao Chen heard that, he felt stunned. Ao Jiao's words immediately shocked him. After not meeting for so many years, Chu Chaoyan has actually become so strong already? If that was really the case, there was only one possibility. Chu Chaoyan should have come into contact with the Tianwu dynasty's royal court. In the past few years, Chu Chaoyan had been enjoying the resources of the royal court. Then, he entered the Universe Origin sect and was sent to the faux god world. This put some pressure on Xiao Chun, but he did not feel too anxious. Xiao Chun had an acquired divine body and a grade 8 blue dragon bloodline. His cultivation would definitely improve slower than others. If Xiao Chun had the same physical body as the others, he would have reached peak sovereign personage long ago. Right now, he was neither in a rush nor too slow. If he continued walking down his own path, he would eventually be able to achieve what he wanted. Xiao Qin was full of confidence in himself. These 10 years in the faux god realm would be the most crucial time for him to climb to the peak. As Xiao Chun continued to read on the honor stele, he discovered that the fastest record for many levels was Chu Chaoyan. This guy, I really want to meet him. Xiao Chun was slightly shocked and said softly. The other Heavenly Alliance members were similarly shocked at this name that appeared many times, appearing somewhat envious. Indeed, the other super factions have deeper accumulations. There is no one from my Heavenly Alliance on this record stele. I heard that you can't use alloy battle armor in the trial tower. You can choose your own weapon, but all other treasures are prohibited. However, we have 4 heaven-defying sovereign personages in our batch. Perhaps we can change things. I hope so. As the crowd discussed, an old man with white eyebrows and a beard walked out of the trial tower. He looked at the crowd and said with a smile, "So, the Heavenly Alliance's newcomers have arrived. No wonder there are so many people here this time." Clearly, the white-bearded old man was the person in charge of the trial tower. After explaining the rules to the crowd, he said, "This trial tower can only allow a maximum of 5 people to enter at a time. Remember not to use any secret treasures aside from weapons after you enter. I will not say anything else. Do as you please." Right after the white-bearded old man spoke, 5 people immediately stepped forward and entered the trial tower, appearing very confident. However, in less than 15 minutes, the first person to be eliminated appeared with an unsightly expression. He was eliminated on the first floor. Time passed slowly. At first, everyone was eager to try. However, their expressions slowly turned grave. For hours later, most people were stuck on the first floor. Only 2 or 3 people managed to break through to the second floor. However, no one managed to break through to the third floor. The difficulty surpassed everyone's expectations. The white-bearded old man smiled and said, "Don't be shocked. There is a small hurdle every 3 floors of the trial tower, and a large hurdle every 9 floors. Most newcomers stop at the 3rd floor. If you can break through to the 3rd floor on your first attempt, that would already be extremely incredible. So that is the case. Then, what will happen if I break through to the 6th floor on my first attempt? If you break through to the 6th floor on your first attempt, then all the faux god powerhouses in the entire holy domain will fight to recruit you." The old man stroked his beard and laughed softly. Clearly, he did not believe that anyone could break through to the 6th floor on their first attempt. As Xiao Chun looked at the trial tower, he entered deep thought. Is it really that difficult? Look, someone broke through to the 3rd floor. It must be Saber Demon Wu Meng. A spot of light flickered on the trial tower's 4th floor. Of the 5 people in there, only Saber Demon Wu Meng possessed such strength. 4th floor, 5th floor, 6th floor. Saber Demon Wu Meng moved like a hot knife through butter. After breaking through to the 3rd floor, he continued on to the 2nd floor. However, he did not last long on the 6th floor before being defeated. Whoosh! Wu Meng appeared somewhat fatigued. However, he could not hide the excitement in his eyes as he said, "Great!" The white-bearded old man's expression changed slightly, and his eyes lit up as well. Even in the other super factions, people who managed to make it to the 6th floor on their first attempt were rare. Spear Sovereign Mou and Sword Venerate Gongzi Lan entered the trial tower one after another. The 2 did not disappoint, making it to the 6th floor. However, they also did not last long before being defeated. Of the Heavenly Alliance's 4 heaven-defying sovereign personages, only Grim Reaper Lin Feng remained. Lin Feng showed an indifferent expression. His eyes were dull and lifeless, devoid of color. No one dared to look at him. Whoosh! Without any warning, Zhang Xian entered the trial tower without a sound or warning. The white-bearded old man felt slightly startled. His eyelids twitched as he exclaimed, "Death Dao Domain." After Lin Feng entered the trial tower, the many faux god powerhouses and closed-door cultivation in the floating palaces in the sky of the divine capital opened their eyes. Before Grim Reaper Lin Feng entered the faux god world, many holy domain faux gods already knew his name. Many people thought highly of him, a descendant who could comprehend the Death Dao domain. Such a person would definitely become a sovereign emperor. If he could light up his divine flame in the future and advance to faux god, he would immediately soar. Lin Feng was a rare good sapling. Whether it was taking him in as a disciple or as a nominal disciple, it would be extremely beneficial to them. Ao Jiao said after some thought, "How strong. To think that a demonic genius appeared in your heavenly alliance. I believe that as long as he makes it to the 6th floor, a faux god will definitely appear and give him closed-door guidance." A faux god's time was very precious. In the Holy Domain's divine capital, being able to receive a faux god's closed-door guidance was an extremely high honor and rare. Xiao Chan said softly, "This person is indeed very strong. However, his character is somewhat strange. I have practically never seen him speak. The murderous aura on his body is even more terrifying, but there seems to be an aura on him that I'm very familiar with." A very familiar aura? Yes. However, there is no need to look into this. Let's see how many floors he can make it to. Before everyone's anticipation, Lin Feng, who was known as the Grim Reaper, fought steadily, living up to everyone's expectations. He broke through the 1st floor, the 2nd floor, the 3rd floor, the 4th floor, and the 5th floor. Soon, he arrived at the crucial 6th floor. Saber Demon Wu Meng, Spear's Sovereign Mou, and Sword Venerate Gongzi Lan all looked somewhat nervous. Previously, the 4 had been equally famous. The 3 of them had been eliminated on the 6th floor. If Lin Feng passed the 6th level, it would undoubtedly mean that Lin Feng's strength was a level higher than theirs. The proud and arrogant people would definitely find this hard to accept. Time passed slowly. Soon, Lin Feng lasted longer than Saber Demon Wu Meng and the others on the 6th floor. Is this fellow really going to break through to the 6th floor? Saber Demon Wu Meng said with a frown. He had personally experienced the horrors of the 6th floor and naturally knew. Whoosh! Just as Wu Meng, Mou, and Sword Venerate Gongzi Lan felt uncertain, a light flashed in the trial tower, and a spot of light appeared on the 7th floor. Lin Feng broke through. Xiao Chan muttered to himself. He really broke through to the 6th floor. Entering the Holy Domain's divine capital with such a person placed a mountain of pressure on them. After breaking through to the 6th floor, Lin Feng remained on the 7th floor for several times longer than on the 6th floor. Clearly, he was already a spent force. However, Lin Feng forcefully broke through again and charged to the 8th floor. Then, before everyone's shocked gazes, he stepped onto the 9th floor. Even the jaws of the disciples of the other super factions nearly fell off in shock. This was Lin Feng's first time entering the trial tower, and he already charged to the 9th floor. This was truly horrifying. However, the miracle ended here. Lin Feng failed on the 9th floor. The instant Lin Feng was sent out of the trial tower, 4 faux god experts descended from the sky. After they appeared, they extended invitations to him. The strong auras of faux gods pressured others to the point of suffocation. However, the 4 faux gods before Lin Feng had smiles on their faces. They withdrew their auras and walked over. I say, there is no need for the 4 of us to fight here. That's true. This is not a good place to talk. Little friend Lin Feng, are you willing to move to another place to talk? Some hesitation flashed in Lin Feng's eyes. Then, he nodded silently. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, these faux gods and Lin Feng vanished from everyone's sight. Damn! To think that 4 faux gods took a fancy to him at the same time. When the disciples of the other super faction saw this scene, they felt somewhat envious and went crazy. Compared to the people who came to the Heavenly Alliance in the beginning, they knew very well what kind of honor it was to be favored by a faux god expert. The benefits of being able to get a faux god expert to give up their precious time to provide closed-door guidance were endless. Only geniuses among geniuses were qualified to be favored by a faux god expert and willing to spend time to give pointers. Under normal circumstances, faux gods would not even be willing to spare a few more glances at a sovereign personage that they looked down on. Saber Demon Wu Meng, Gongzi Lan, and the other two felt somewhat helpless as they watched the four foe god experts invite Lin Feng away. Gongzilan said somewhat unhappily, I can already condense divine energy in advance. Why are no foe god experts interested in me? Wu Ming smiled mockingly and said, save it. Your little tricks are nothing before a divine vein realm sovereign emperor. What more a foe god expert? Humph. I will prove it to everyone. Gongzilan snorted coldly and turned to leave. His pride must have suffered a huge blow. Chapter 21-25. On his first attempt, he managed to clear the trial tower's 6th floor in one go, attracting the attention of 4 foe god experts. The main reason why Lin Feng could attract 4 foe god experts at once was not because he had broken through to the 6th layer, but because his name had already spread in some circles of the foe god world before he came. High-level Great Daos were existences that were much stronger than elemental Great Daos. Very few foe gods could comprehend high-level Great Dao. However, once they did, it would be incredible. Without exception, they were definitely the top few foe gods, existences so strong that they were suffocating. For a seedling like Lin Feng, he was still far from becoming a foe god. However, once he became a foe god, he would immediately surpass many older foe gods, and his status would rise infinitely. This was equivalent to a commoner in the secular world who had the fate of the Son of Heaven. Roping them in and building a good relationship with them would only bring benefits and no harm. Coupled with his outstanding talent, foe god experts were naturally willing to spend time to guide such a person. If you put yourself in his shoes, you would understand. However, even if they understood this, the Heavenly Alliance members and a few members of the other super factions still felt shocked. Xiao Chen, what do you think? Ao Jiao looked at Xiao Chun mischievously. In the Sky Dome realm and the Kunlun realm, it was the others who looked up to Xiao Chun. Anyone who lived in the same era as him would feel great pressure forever seeing Xiao Chen's back. After arriving in the foe god world, Xiao Chun became one of the many people watching the backs of others like everyone else. Xiao Chun understood the meaning behind Ao Jiao's words and said, I'm used to it. After coming to the boundless world, I've had too many similar experiences. The other monstrous geniuses of the Great Thousand Realms had given Xiao Chun many surprises and shocks. He was already used to it. There was no need to be envious or jealous of others. If Xiao Chun exposed the state of cycle in the Heavenly Alliance's test, he would receive the same amount of attention as Grim Reaper Lin Feng. But there was no need. Many years ago, Xiao Chun understood that people had to live for themselves. Xiao Chun had only just comprehended the state of cycle. He was far from being able to bring it out. He just had to follow his own rhythm and walk step by step. He couldn't let mundane matters mess up his state of mind. Ao Jiao smiled and did not mention it. She said in a deep voice, How many rounds do you think you can pass this time? Xiao Chun entered deep thought. After thinking seriously for a while, he said, Not counting some trump cards, my strength is weaker than Gongzilan, Mou, and Saber Demon Wu Ming. If nothing unexpected happens, I should stop at the 6th layer. Breaking through the 3rd layer shouldn't be a problem. Most people would not be able to pass the 3rd level of the trial tower on their first attempt. Of the 100-odd people in the Heavenly Alliance, only 4 or 5 managed to clear the 3rd floor. Aside from Lin Feng, only Gongzilan's group of 3 managed to make it to the 6th floor. White-robed Xiao Chun, why aren't you going to challenge the trial? As the two chatted, Xiao Chun saw Spear King Mou and Saber Demon Wu Ming walking over. The one who spoke was Saber Demon Wu Ming. He was a rather strong and forthright man. However, the two had not interacted before. Now that Saber Demon Wu Ming took the initiative to come over, Xiao Chun was somewhat surprised. Xiao Chun nodded slightly and said, There's no rush. I made a bet with Mou that you could make it to the 6th floor. He did not believe it and looked down on you. Saber Demon Wu Ming smiled. He radiated a strong, murderous chi, looking ferocious. Although this smile was meant to express friendliness, it still looked very scary. Mou, who carried a spear on his back, showed an indifferent expression, his gaze cold. His aura was similar to Lin Feng's. However, there was still a fundamental difference. Mo cultivated the ice great Tao, so his character was naturally like this, unlike Mou, who had no color in his eyes. Mou said coldly, "Don't try to drive a wedge between us. In my eyes, Xiao Chun is an opponent on the same level as Lin Feng. However, he still lacks some time." Wu Meng smiled and said, "Aha, I don't care about that. In any case, you might not believe that Xiao Chun can make it to the 6th floor, but I do. Xiao Chun, don't disappoint me. We made a bet of 100 faux god coins." Clearly, being thought highly of by an expert like Wu Meng was something to be happy about. Xiao Chun said, "I'll do my best." Not many people from the Heavenly Alliance had yet to enter the trial tower. After greeting the two, Xiao Chun headed for the trial tower. "Xiao Chun, I heard that he was the one who forced Mu Yunju down 100,000 steps 1 month ago. Cut it out. Senior Brother Mu was just careless. If not for the solar divine daughter of Bushin Palace relying on the Golden Crow holy beast, Senior Brother Mu would have been more than enough to suppress him with one hand. Senior Brother Mu would have been more than enough to suppress him with one hand. I heard that he is only 47 years old this year. He is like the geniuses of a universe origin sect and Bushin Palace, possessing boundless potential." Xiao Chen's appearance caused a huge commotion. It was unavoidable to mention what happened on the comprehension platform 1 month ago. Many of the profound Heaven Holy Land disciples immediately felt upset and started retorting. At the same time, at a palace high in the sky of the Holy Domain's divine capital, suddenly, an old man with an aged expression descended. This old man exuded a strong aura, and a vast saber intent radiated from his forehead. The old man walked out of the palace and smiled softly. "Shimu, you are here?" Shimu nodded and replied softly, "I heard that 2 excellent Bladesman saplings came from the Heavenly Alliance's batch of newcomers. It seems that they are here for the trial tower's opening this time." "You are here to find an inheritor? I'm already old. I don't want the saber techniques that I spent so much effort on to not have an inheritor." "Ha! Finding an inheritor is really difficult. You old fogey, aren't your standards too high? In the past few centuries, how many seedlings have we, your old friends, introduced to you? Even if there are not 10,000, there are at least 8 or 9,000 outstanding talents who want to inherit your legacy. However, you still look down on them." It was clear that the 2 old men had a good relationship. They did not hold back as they joked. "Faux God," Shimu shook his head slightly and said, "It is better to go without than to find someone suitable. They might as well stop me. Have they started yet?" Wu Meng already came out. "However, I've already recorded the entire process of him clearing the trial for you." The other one just entered. After the old man finished speaking, he handed a jade strip to Shimu. Shimu received the jade strip and gave a cursory look. Then his eyes lit up. The other old man smiled and said, "This person is known as the Saber Demon in the Heavenly Alliance. When he executed his saber techniques, he was like a mad demon. His killing chi surged everywhere, and he did not hold back when he used it. However, he did not fall into the demonic Tao. Clearly, he could control it very well, showing finesse despite the coarseness. He is a rare genius in the saber technique. Not bad, not bad. This kind of crazed, demonic energy is rare. He is a true bladesman with the heart of a bladesman." Shimu put away the jade strip and nodded in praise. However, he did not say anything. He asked, "What about the other person?" "The other person is equally incredible. He entered the Heavenly Alliance at the age of 47. He is known as the White Robe Bladesman. Although he is young, his saber techniques are experienced and steady. He walks his own saber Dao, which is different from the various schools of saber techniques." When introducing Xiao Chun, this old man was not stingy with his praise. Creating his own saber Dao? He is merely 47, and he wants to create his own saber Dao. He overestimates himself and is too boastful. Shimu frowned slightly when he heard that, feeling dissatisfied. Don't jump to conclusions too early. Coincidentally, he just entered the trial tower. How about we watch first? The other old man suggested. Shimu nodded and said, "Let's watch." Many of the youths nowadays are proud and arrogant. They refuse to submit to anyone and want to reach the sky in one step. They look down on all the senior powerhouses, thinking that they can create a Tao that surpasses the predecessors. In reality, they're just people who look at the sky from the bottom of a well. By the time they regret it, it will already be too late. The other old man's heart skipped a beat. My old friend, Shimu, hates people who bite off more than they can chew. It looks like it will be difficult for this Xiao Chan to gain Shimu's favor. Saber Demon Wu Mang's hopes were much higher. Inside the trial tower, Xiao Chun showed a calm expression as he entered the first floor. He did not know that two faux god experts were paying attention to his every move. Xiao Chun curiously sized up his surroundings. When he entered the first floor, a small light figure that looked like a realm spirit appeared before him. Heavenly Alliance's Xiao Chun. Welcome to the Trial Tower. I am the item spirit responsible for maintaining the Trial Tower. As this is your first time challenging the Trial Tower, you do not have many privileges. Right now, you only have one privilege. You can choose the location of the first floor, desolate plains, desert, or grassland. Anything else? You only have these three privileges for now. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. The three locations were about the same. None of them suited his attributes. So, he could only choose one randomly. Desert. All right, the first floor's trial begins now. Good luck. Right after the trial tower's item spirit spoke, the scene before Xiao Chun suddenly changed. In the next moment, he found himself in a vast sea of sand. Chapter 21-26. The blazing sun hung high in the sky, and yellow sand covered the ground. The boundless sand dunes looked like a golden sea. The content of the trial? As Xiao Chun stood in the sea of sand, he cautiously looked around. He thought about how to proceed in the upcoming trial, not daring to lower his guard. Although Xiao Chun was fully confident of clearing the third floor, many people in the Heavenly Alliance had fallen on the first floor. However, many people in the Heavenly Alliance fell on the first floor as well. Xiao Chun could not be careless. Whoosh! Suddenly, a black-clad cultivator carrying two sabers on his back appeared from the sand behind Xiao Chun. Only his eyes were exposed as he charged at Xiao Chun. Amid rumbling sounds, a boundless sea of sand surged up like a tsunami behind the black-clad cultivator. This clearly showed the black-clad cultivator's aura. The instant the black-clad cultivator drew his sabers and chopped down, a terrifying, mysterious phenomenon materialized. The sky for 5,000 kilometers around instantly turned pitch black. The vast saber might contained terrifying pressure. The black-clad cultivator turned around and drew his saber, instantly spreading out his thunder Dao domain. After blocking the other party's saber might, Xiao Chun easily blocked the other party's sabers with his tyrant saber. The sand under his feet did not move at all. Dang! 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 The black-clad masked cultivator did not stop at all after missing his first strike. The two sabers danced as he launched a frenzied attack in the air. Thunderclouds instantly covered the sky. Every move Xiao Chun made carried the power of lightning. This black-clad cultivator's attacks were very ferocious, catching others off guard. His saber techniques were exquisite, showing no obvious openings. Xiao Chun felt slightly stunned. He had not expected the other party to have a thunder Dao domain as well. The usage of the two sabers also made his eyes light up. This is interesting. Xiao Chun revealed a smile as he temporarily dodged the attacks. As he retreated, he calmly analyzed his opponent's strength. In the blink of an eye, the two exchanged more than 100 moves. Xiao Chun dealt with the moves as they came, not flustered at all. The two clashed with their thunder, Dao domains, and their saber techniques, starting an intense battle in the vast yellow sand for 5,000 kilometers around. The other party's cultivation is higher than mine, and he has rich combat experience. He grasps the same thunder, Dao domain, as me. He does not fear pain. It seems like the damage I inflicted on him does not affect him at all. Why does it feel like this matter is somewhat familiar? As Xiao Chun analyzed his opponent's strength, he was surprised to find the other party very familiar. The black and white eggs were combat puppets. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Xiao Chen's mind. The masked, black-clad cultivator before Shao Chun seemed very similar to the black and white eggs. Could it be that the opponents he had to challenge in this experiential training were black and white eggs? Combat puppets similar to the black and white eggs? If that was the case, it was understandable why some people couldn't even pass the first trial. After all, 4 years ago, Shao Chun had been mistreated by the black and white eggs for 4 years. Although the black-clad masked cultivator before Shao Chun was much weaker than the black and white eggs and did not have the intelligence of the black and white eggs, he did not possess the strength of a faux god. However, it was normal for others to be defeated in the first round if they were unable to adapt quickly. If it's really as I guessed, then I've gained quite a bit of advantage from this trial. After all, Shao Chun had fought the black and white eggs for 4 years and was very familiar with such combat puppets. It was like he had been on the trial for 4 years. Compared to the other rookies, he had a huge advantage. Don't worry, I'll take it slow. Shao Chun thought of a possibility. This might be a huge opportunity before him, so he had to grasp it properly. Outside the trial tower, the many Heavenly Alliance members and the disciples of the other super factions watched Shao Chun's trial. After all, Shao Chun was the youngest member in the history of the Heavenly Alliance and caused a huge commotion 1 month ago. If Shao Chun did not have any results in the trial, he would definitely be mocked by others. This was especially so for the profound Heaven Holy Lands people. They hoped that Shao Chun would be eliminated on the first floor. In the palace in the sky, the old man across from faux god Shimu said indifferently, "It looks like this Shao Chun is only a so. He conforms to the norm and does not stand out at all." Unlike the people below, faux gods could directly see the situation inside the trial tower. The two faux gods could see Shao Chun's every move. Not a single detail escaped their eyes. Shimu shook his head and said, "That's not it. You have to look at his eyes. They are clean and pure. From the start until now, they have been like an ancient well, rippling endlessly. Clearly, his mental state is extraordinary. The saber techniques he executed are even more exquisite." Exquisite? The old man across felt confused. Although he did not know much about the saber technique, he could tell that Shao Chun's saber technique did not stand out at all. Shimu smiled faintly and said, "Yes, very exquisite." He was testing the strength of this combat puppet. However, while he was testing it, his saber technique not only stabilized the other party's attack, but he also grasped his strength perfectly. His control of strength was just right. Not a bit more, not a bit less, not a bit more, not a bit less, not a bit wasted. It looks ordinary and unremarkable, but in reality, it is impossible without a solid foundation. Shimu was a faux god famed for his saber techniques. After all, his eyes were sharp and precise. At this point, Shimu already understood that his earlier evaluation of Shao Chun was wrong. This Shao Chun before him was definitely not an arrogant and overbearing person who bit off more than he could chew. However, this is the faux god world where all the outstanding talents of the world gather. He is pretty good now, but that is all. This is far from enough in the faux god world. Shimu, who set his sights very high, changed the topic and said indifferently. His meaning was clear. Shao Chun was pretty good, but he was still too inexperienced. To others, he could be considered an outstanding talent. In Shimu's opinion, Shao Chun was still somewhat lacking, not meeting the requirements to inherit his legacy. The old man across smiled faintly. It looked like the lucky person to inherit fiendish saber Shimu's legacy would be the Heavenly Alliance's Wu Meng. Trial Tower, amid the yellow sand for 5,000 kilometers. It is almost as I guessed. My opponents in this trial tower are the weakened versions of the black and white eggs. Since that is the case, there is no need to continue playing with them. With this thought, Shao Chun's aura suddenly changed. The flawless Tao used the body as a saber, objects as a saber, and thoughts as a saber. In that instant, saber lights appeared all over Shao Chun's body. His white clothes were sabers, his fine black hair was sabers, and the yellow sand filling the air was sabers. Everything was a saber. Kassier. One saber strike. Just one saber strike. Thousands of saber lights instantly stabbed the black-clad cultivator to death. Thousands of holes appeared on the black-clad cultivator's body. Blazing saber lights burst out of every hole. Cassier. The black-clad cultivator shattered into a pile of scrap. Indeed, it was a combat puppet. This, inside the palace, the two foe gods watching Shao Chun were indescribably shocked. In the blink of an eye, Shao Chun destroyed the combat puppet with one saber strike. Just one moment ago, Shao Chun was still a refined and elegant man, unperturbed. In the next moment, his saber intent soared into the clouds, appearing incredulous. Thunder roared again. The sand sea churned like a huge wave crashing over. The sea of sand surged like a huge wave. Another two battle dolls appeared. Good timing. Shao Chun's fighting spirit soared. He smiled and did not hold anything back, continuing to execute his flawless saber Dao. Dragon subduing stance, breaking stance, cloud soaring stance. A hazy saber intent immediately spread out in the vast desert. The desert became like a real sea, churning under Shao Chun's feet. 3 moves. In just 3 moves, Shao Chun chopped the 2 combat puppets into pieces, displaying his tyranny. The two foe god old men were flabbergasted. This was not like a newcomer at all. Shao Chun understood the combat puppet's weaknesses and openings like the back of his hand. His self-created saber, Dao, made their eyes light up and sigh in amazement. However, Shao Chun did not feel cocky at all. After being tortured by the black and white eggs for several years, if he did not improve at all, he might as well kill himself. 2 combat puppets were destroyed. Then, 3 combat puppets appeared. Then, 4 more appeared. This cycle progressed. When 9 combat puppets appeared before Shao Chun, the Trial Tower's item spirit's voice rang out in his ears. Trial Taker Shao Chun. The final wave of attacks is about to arrive. If you can kill all your opponents, you will pass the test. It's the final wave already? In that case, let's end it in one go. After consecutive victories, Shao Chun's aura soared. He had already reached his peak and was still climbing. The saber intent blazing on his body and the thunderclouds spreading in the sky swallowed everything, appearing unstoppable. Mamaya abstinence violation saber technique, entering hell. In the final wave of attacks, Shao Chun directly executed his strongest killing move, the move with the heaviest baleful aura and killing chi of the Mamaya abstinence violation saber technique. The Buddhist said, "If I do not enter hell, who will?" Saber lights flashed in the desert for 500,000 kilometers. Winds blew, ghosts cried, and wolves howled. An indistinct azura hell appeared. The howling saber wind made the desert churn like waves, not resting for even a moment. Azura hell appeared completely, surrounding Shao Chun in layers. Thousands of malicious spirits and countless aggrieved spirits appeared. It was like Shao Chun had absorbed the entire hell into his body. If he was not careful, he would turn into a demon lord of hell. Intense flames covered Shao Chun's entire body, burning fiercely. He looked deranged, his expression sinister and terrifying. Only his eyes remained as calm as still water. A Buddhist swastika appeared on Shao Chun's forehead. The instant the Buddhist swastika appeared, the various evil karma, aggrieved spirits, and azura hell in Shao Chun's body were all drawn into the saber. Immediately, it seemed like Shao Chun was no longer holding a saber, but an evil dragon from hell that wanted to destroy the world. Shao Chun felt that the saber in his hand could even pierce through the sky at this moment. The saber contained a strong force. The strong energy contained in the saber made Shao Chun's entire body tremble. The moment the 9 combat puppets arrived before him, Shao Chun roared and swung the saber in his hand. Light exploded. Before the 9 combat puppets could react, this energy blasted them into dust. Then, the shock waves blasted them into nothing. When the light scattered and the storm calmed, aside from the hum of the saber in Shao Chun's hand, everything was quiet in the desert. Outside the trial tower, everyone chatted leisurely. They were not worried about whether Shao Chun could clear the first floor or not. Of course, there was always a group of people who wished for Shao Chun to be eliminated on the first floor. Humph! Don't get eliminated on the first floor. At that time, you will become a big joke. A profound Heaven Holy Land disciple said maliciously as he looked at the trial tower. Rumble. Suddenly, the entire ground shook violently. A terrifying might rushed out from the Tower of Trials. Aside from Xiao Chun, all the disciples in the trial tower were forced out one by one. What's going on? My trial is not over yet. The group felt confused, not knowing what was going on. The Heavenly Alliance's people and the people of the other super factions also felt confused, not knowing what was going on. Whoosh! Suddenly, the glory steel gave off a bright light that was even more dazzling than the sun, illuminating the entire divine city. When the light scattered, a name on the glory steel changed. Trial Taker Xiao Chun. Congratulations on breaking the record of the trial tower's first floor. This record has not been broken for close to 1,000 years. The Heavenly Alliance's Xiao Chun is hereby rewarded with 10,000 faux god coins. Then, a resonant voice resounded in every corner of the Holy Domain's divine capital. The Heavenly Alliance disciples and the members of the other super factions outside the trial tower were all stupefied, flabbergasted. Several disciples in closed-door cultivation opened their eyes and looked in the direction of the trial tower. Many faux gods also appeared in the palaces where faux gods resided and looked over. How did he break the record? Is that true? Saber, Demon Wu Meng, and Spear, Sovereign Mo, you were both stupefied. This was something they never expected. Trial Taker Xiao Chun. Congratulations on breaking the record of the trial tower's first floor. This record has not been broken for close to 1,000 years. The Heavenly Alliance's Xiao Chun is hereby rewarded with 10,000 faux god coins. The resonant voice rang out again, repeating 3 times in the sky above the divine capital. The voice lingered, reverberating endlessly, telling everyone that it was true. The record of the first level has finally been broken by someone. Outside the trial tower, the white-bearded old man overseeing the situation showed a complicated expression as he sighed. Chapter 21-27. Trial Taker Xiao Chun, congratulations. This is your reward, the little light figure said as it looked at Xiao Chun. The desert environment disappeared, and Xiao Chun reappeared in the trial tower. The trial tower's item spirit said to him, "Whoosh!" A treasure chest fell, and Xiao Chun reached out to catch it. When he opened it, he saw stacks of faux god coins neatly arranged inside. With a cursory glance, Xiao Chun was surprised to discover a total of 13,100 faux god coins. 10,000 was the reward for breaking the record. 100 was the basic reward that anyone who cleared the level could obtain. Where did the remaining 3,000 come from? Xiao Chun looked at the item spirit in confusion. The little light figure smiled and said, "There are 2 ways to break a record. One is to try many times, and the other is to break the record on the first try. If it is the latter, there will be a hidden reward. The hidden reward for the first floor is 3,000 faux god coins." Xiao Chun felt enlightened. As he looked at the faux god coins, he grabbed a handful with his right hand and let it slide out. Breaking the record. After figuring out that the black-clad cultivators were simplified combat puppets, Xiao Chun felt that his chance to break the record had arrived. At first, he held back. After figuring out the other party's strength, he erupted in one go, even easily unleashing his strongest killing move, all for this moment. Grim Reaper Lin Feng charged to the 9th floor on his first attempt, attracting 4 faux god experts to descend at the same time, shocking the world. However, Lin Feng failed to break the record. Perhaps he might be able to break the records of the other upper floors after many attempts. However, he would not be able to break the record on the first try like Xiao Chun did. The record for the first floor looks simple, but in reality, it is very difficult to break. This is because the trial tower has a rule. After you clear the first floor, you cannot challenge it a second time. No matter which floor you are defeated in, you'll have to try again. The little light figure said after some thought. Hence, no one has broken this record for more than 1,000 years. The reward is 10,000 faux god coins. However, the record for the second floor is not that long. Someone broke it 100 years ago, and the reward is only 3,000 faux god coins. So that is the case. The longer the record remained unbroken, the greater the reward. Of course, if you broke a high-level record, such as the record after the 20th level, the rewards would also be great. Because of the increase in difficulty, the corresponding basic rewards would also be increased. You now have a special privilege. You can freely choose the location of the second floor's trial. At the same time, you can understand the contents of the second floor's trial. So good, but this didn't seem fair to the others. However, there didn't seem to be anything unfair about it. The privilege was something he had fought for with his strength. Others could also have it if they had the strength. Tell me the details of the second trial first. The content of the second floor is the same as the first floor. It's all battle puppets. Compared to the first floor's 9 waves of attacks, the second floor has a total of 18 waves of attacks. Its strength had increased by quite a bit, more than doubling. It was truly terrifying. However, if it were a combat puppet, even if its strength surpassed that of the black and white eggs, Xiao Chun felt that he could still break the record. This was because he had 4 more years of experience than the others. He had 4 more years of experience fighting virtual god-level combat puppets. Now, it was time to think about where to fight. Xiao Chun pondered for a moment and chose the snowfield as the location. It was a land of ice and snow. Why not a place like a thunder marsh? It was because his opponent also had a thunder Dao domain. If he could strengthen his opponent, he could strengthen his opponent as well. Although Xiao Chun did not grasp an ice Dao domain, his ice great Dao was sufficient for him to gain an advantage in the snowfield. Are you sure it is a land of ice and snow? The little light figure asked. I'm sure. Trial taker Xiao Chun. I wish you good luck. The little light figure gave its blessings before sending Xiao Chun to the trial tower's second floor. As he expected, heavy snow fell before him, a vast and boundless snowfield. Unlike Xiao Chun's calmness after breaking the record, the Heavenly Alliance disciples and the disciples of the other super factions outside the trial tower still felt stupefied. Miss A.O. Jiao. How come no one has broken the first floor in the past 1,000 years? Wu Ming and M.O. You still felt excited and incredulous. They could not help asking A.O. Jiao, who was beside them. A.O. Jiao replied after some thought. It's not just that no one has broken it in the past 1,000 years. Since the trial tower's existence, this first floor's record has only been broken 3 times, including Xiao Chun, that is 4 times. Wu Ming and M.O. You felt slightly startled. They had not expected someone to break the seemingly simple first floor's record only 4 times. However, when they thought about it, when they first entered the trial tower and faced the first stage, they were inexperienced. They were caught off guard and nearly lost. By the time they stabilized themselves, they had already wasted a lot of time. The time he spent was several times longer than Xiao Chen's. The others were probably the same as the 2 of them, or even worse. How did this fellow break the first floor's record? This won't do. I have to inform Senior Brother Mu. Horror flashed in the eyes of a profound Heaven Holy Land disciple. After some thought, he said, Stand guard here and see how many floors this fellow can clear. I'll go and inform Senior Brother. All right. This person was rushing out, but there were even more cultivators flying over from all directions. These people saw the profound light illuminating the divine city. When they heard that someone broke the record, they all rushed over to take a look. In a certain faux god palace in the air, Fiendish Saber, Shimu, and the old man across him remained silent for a long time. Old fellow, what do you think? The old man across, Shimu asked with a grave expression. Originally, Shimu did not think highly of Xiao Chun. He felt that Xiao Chun was too inexperienced, lacking compared to Saber Demon Wu Ming. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chun broke the first floor's record in one go. This was not the main point. The main point was Xiao Chun's final move, the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber techniques, entering hell. Shimu thought for a long time before sighing. He is rather strong. The other old man was mildly startled. Shimu's evaluation was not too high. He said that Xiao Chun was rather strong. Shimu was definitely not talking about Xiao Chun's strength, but his cultivation in the Saber Dao. Shimu was known as the Fiendish Saber, and had lived for a long time. In terms of bladesmen, he could be said to be one of the strongest in the faux god world, aside from that person. Right now, Xiao Chun was only a sovereign personage. To think that his skills with the saber caught Shi Mu's attention and even praised him. To think that the Heavenly Alliance produced two incredible geniuses in this batch, the old man said softly. The other person was naturally Grim Reaper Lin Feng. At this moment, in the two's eyes, Xiao Chun was already on the same level as Lin Feng. Due to Xiao Chen's youth, his potential was even greater. In an underground secret room in a desolate courtyard in the Holy Domain's divine capital. Senior Brother Mu, this is incredible. This was where Mu Yunju was in closed-door cultivation. After he gained something on the comprehension platform, he had been in closed-door cultivation, digesting what he gained. Mu Yunju slowly opened his eyes and said indifferently, I said before, do not disturb me if there is nothing urgent. If you have something to say it quickly. Senior brother, the fellow you told us to keep an eye on. He broke the record today. He broke the record for the Trial Tower's first floor. What? The first floor's record? Is that true? It's true. Mu Yunju suddenly stood up, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. If Xiao Chun had broken the record for the other floors, he would not have found it so strange. The reason for this was that Mu Yunju's name was also on the glory steel outside the Trial Tower. Mu Yunju was also a genius, outstanding talent who had broken the Trial Tower's record before, more than once. However, no one had broken the first floor's record for the past 1,000 years. Back then, even the universe origin sex Chu Chaoyan, who caused everyone to despair, could not break the first floor's record. To think that Xiao Chun did so. What did this mean? It meant that Xiao Chun was now even stronger than when they first came to the faux god world. Such an opponent's future potential was scary just thinking about it. In reality, Mu Yunju was overthinking. Right now, Xiao Chun was not much stronger than when they first came to the faux god world. Aside from Xiao Chun's outstanding strength, he had fought the black and white eggs for 4 years to break the record. However, Mu Yunju did not know about all this. He, who was in closed-door cultivation, felt somewhat restless. No, I have to go and take a look. Is his strength really that terrifying? Why did I not see it back then? Mu Yunju did not say anything. He showed a sullen expression as he quickly left. After the two left the underground secret room, they arrived at the courtyard's gates. Before they could step out, a bright light suddenly appeared before the two. The profound heaven holy land, disciple who came to deliver the news, found the light piercing and had to use his sleeves to cover his eyes. Trial taker Xiao Chun, congratulations on breaking the Trial Tower's second floor's record for 100 years. The Heavenly Alliance's Xiao Chun is hereby rewarded with 3,000 faux god coins. When the light faded, a resonant voice rang out in the two's ears. Mu Yunju felt stunned, somewhat flabbergasted. Xiao Chun broke through 2 floors in a row, breaking another record. Chapter 21-28. The second floor's record was broken again. Inside the Trial Tower, Xiao Chun felt somewhat excited. Honestly speaking, he did not have much hope of breaking the second floor's record. As long as he did his best, he would try. Unexpectedly, he managed to break it again in the end. This was a pleasant surprise. Trial taker Xiao Chun, congratulations on breaking the Trial Tower's second floor's record again. This is truly a cause for celebration. It has been a long time since someone broke 2 records in one day in the faux god world. The little light figure appeared and smiled faintly, giving Xiao Chun a reward. Xiao Chun opened the booth. Including the hidden reward, there was a total of 5,000 faux god coins. This was much less than the first floor's record. After all, the first floor's record remained unbroken for 1,000 years. However, the second floor's record was broken 100 years ago. Do I still have any special privileges this time? Xiao Chun was rather looking forward to this. Choosing the snowy plains as the venue was crucial for him to break another record on the second floor. Naturally there is. Those who obtain the hidden reward will have one special privilege. Come with me to the 3rd floor. Light and shadow flashed, and the item spirit brought Xiao Chun to the trial tower's third floor. The environment of the third floor was different from the first two floors. It was completely empty. Hundreds of statues appeared in the empty space. Each statue looked very heroic and majestic, each with its own grace. They looked very lively and dignified. These statues are all strands of faux god flame left behind by faux god experts. Be it their intelligence or states, they're several times stronger than the combat puppets. When ordinary people come in to challenge, they will choose a statue at random. You can observe and choose freely. The little light figure introduced the statue's origins to Xiao Chun. The trial tower's third floor was a hurdle. Aside from the four heaven-defying sovereign personages, no one in the Heavenly Alliance could clear the third floor. It looked like there was a reason for this. This time, can I choose freely where I want to fight? Xiao Chun asked the little light figure. After confirming this, it would be better for him to choose his opponent. Yes. The little light figure nodded to indicate that there was no problem. In that case, things would be much easier. Xiao Chun looked at the hundreds of statues and felt somewhat dazzled. After some thought, he said, "Lord Item Spirit, please help me eliminate all the statues that are not bladesmen." If Xiao Chun was not a bladesman, there was no point in challenging him. As for the trial tower, other than the rewards, it also focused on the word trial. The first two stages were not very helpful to Xiao Chun. He had already comprehended some of the experience the black and white eggs wanted to impart. This was a rare opportunity for the third stage. Naturally, he had a fight with a bladesman. As you wish. With a wave of the little light figure's hand, more than half of the hundreds of statues disappeared, leaving only a few dozen statues. There were still quite a lot of them. Xiao Chun said after some thought, "Help me eliminate the bladesmen good at the Thunder Dao and the Ice Dao." If one ran into these two kinds of statues, it was practically impossible to fight. Many cultivators with passable strength could only blame their bad luck if they ran into a statue of the same great Dao as them. After another round of elimination, only a dozen or so statues were left. "Shimu, you seem to be one of these statues." In the palace, the eyes of the old man across Shimu lit up as he smiled softly. Shimu nodded and said, "Indeed, I'm one of them. However, if he still wants to break the record, he probably will not choose me." As Shimu spoke, he showed absolute confidence. His statue was definitely the strongest of the remaining statues. He did not believe that Xiao Chun could not tell. Who knew? Right after Shimu spoke, Xiao Chun, who was in the trial tower, seemed to sense something and made his choice. This senior it is. It was fiendish saber Shimu. Inside the palace, Shimu and the old man across from him saw everything clearly, immediately stunned. After a while, the old man across Shimu guffawed and said, "Ha ha, it looks like I really can't be too firm with my words." Fiendish saber, Shimu could tell that Shimu was very ambitious, only submitting to one person in his life. Xiao Chen's choice caught Shimu off guard, making him feel somewhat embarrassed. Shimu said seriously, "To think that he really chose me. I want to see how you're going to clear the third stage." Inside the trial tower, the little light figure was also somewhat surprised at Xiao Chen's choice. After some thought, it said, "This is Senior Shimu. Among the hundreds of statues, his strength ranks within the top 10. Since the trial tower opened, none of the people who chose him managed to clear it on their first try. Even after challenging him many times, only 3 people managed to clear it. Is that so?" When Xiao Chen heard that, he said, "He is stronger than I imagined. Let me break this record then." Although Xiao Chen said that, in reality, he was already very open about the record. With one glance, Xiao Chen could tell that faux god Shimu was the strongest of the remaining statues. The fighting spirit in his heart instantly blazed. The instant Xiao Chen met the statue's eyes, it felt like they were connected. His saber intent surged involuntarily. The tyrant's saber in Xiao Chen's hand trembled slightly, raring to go. He could not help wanting to draw it from the scabbard. When Xiao Chen felt the tyrant saber's fighting spirit, he thought for a while before letting this fighting spirit surge in his heart. The strongest is the strongest. It does not matter whether I break the record or not. The opportunity to exchange moves with this senior is something that I can only hope for. Are you sure? If you're sure, not only will the record be hard to break, but you might even be defeated on the third floor. Of course, with such a high hidden difficulty, the reward you will obtain will be even higher. However, many super faction members have gathered outside. They all came after hearing the news. If you break 2 stages in a row and lose on the third, your previous reputation will be ruined. Xiao Chun said calmly. When have I ever cared about the cold eyes of others? I just follow my heart. What a fellow. I'm starting to like him. The originally unhappy Shimu revealed a smile on his aged face when he heard that. The other party mocked smile. Let's see if he can still smile when he tramples on you to break the record. Liking me is one thing, but you're overthinking if you want to defeat me on your first try. This touched his bottom line. Faux God Shimu withdrew his smile and showed a serious expression. The little light figure in the trial tower looked at Xiao Chun and said, As you wish, then. What do you choose to fight? Thundermarsh. Whoosh. Light and shadow changed. When Xiao Chen's vision recovered, he was already in a thundermarsh. The sky was dark and thunderclouds covered it. Thousands of bolts of lightning spread out like ferocious venomous snakes. Everything within thousands of miles was a black swamp, and the heavens and the earth were filled with dense lightning-attributed spiritual energy. Since Xiao Chun grasped the Thunder Great Tao, the place he chose had the advantage of the terrain. This made it more convenient for him to succeed in his challenge. Whoosh! A statue descended from the sky and landed in front of Xiao Chun. When the statue appeared, it turned into a human, looking like it came to life. The faux god Shimu that appeared before Xiao Chun looked like when he was young. He wore loose white robes and looked delicate and handsome. His long hair fluttered as he looked at Xiao Chun, his lips curling up in a smile. Fiend! When the other party smiled, his aura immediately changed. The impression he gave Xiao Chun was one word: fiend. Becoming a fiend with a smile. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. He immediately felt that something was wrong. Ever since the trial tower was built, no one had succeeded on their first try. It looked like this was not without reason. Let me take a look. To think that you got a Thundermarsh. Your luck is pretty good, the younger Shimu said softly as he looked around. The statue had a trace of Shimu's divine flame and could think for itself, similar to the black and white eggs. However, the Shimu outside could not control it. Aside from that trace of divine flame, there was not much of a connection between the two. However, my saber techniques have nothing to do with the environment. Choosing me is fated to be your misfortune. Take this. The statue's temper was similar to Shimu's, proud and confident. Right after it spoke, it instantly drew its saber. The moment it drew its saber, a beautiful flower bloomed, bursting out with a resplendent saber light. At this instant, Xiao Chun looked around and found himself in a vast sea of flowers. The environment had changed drastically. An illusion? Or a mysterious phenomenon? Or is it purely the other party's saber Tao? Xiao Chun could not understand what was going on. He only calmly looked at Shimu, who was leaping around like a saucer in the sea of flowers, charging at him. However, just as the other party was about to charge over, Shimu's figure turned blurry in Xiao Chen's eyes. Many afterimages appeared. Strange, since the trial tower was built, Shimu had only been defeated by 3 people after many challenges. Before he truly made a move, he already forced Xiao Chun into a passive position. However, the people outside knew nothing about this. Seeing Xiao Chun break 2 records in a row, several people felt excited. They wondered if Xiao Chun could break the record on the 3rd floor as well. If he broke 3 records in a row, he would truly be making history. With the strength that Xiao Chun displayed and the momentum of breaking 2 records in a row, no one thought that he might fall on the 3rd floor. Chapter 21-29. Fiendish Saber Shimu. A horrifying opponent with a hazy figure appeared, both real and illusory. It was hard to distinguish the real from the fake in the sea of flowers. This was the first time Xiao Chun met such a strange opponent. He did not attack rashly, calmly retreating. Whoosh! As Xiao Chun retreated, he could not dodge in time. The other party's saber cut a thin wound on his right chest. Fortunately, it was just a superficial wound, not a major problem. The other party has blurred my senses, preventing me from determining the trajectory of his saber. Xiao Chun looked at the wound and thought to himself. Then, he could not help showing an even more cautious expression. Shimu held up his saber and continued charging over. Xiao Chun executed his flawless saber Dao. As Xiao Chun retreated, his figure moved. Saber light flickered, and his movements were graceful like a dance. Since Shimu could not determine the trajectory, he used his body as a saber, his clothes as a saber, and his hair as a saber. Every move flickered with saber light. Dang, dang, dang. Shimu's figure remained hazy. Every time he swung his saber, it was like a flower blooming. As the saber light danced, 1,000 flowers bloomed, creating many illusions. However, no matter how Shimu moved, Xiao Chun used his body as a saber and his thoughts as a saber. His entire body shone with resplendent saber light. As Shimu moved, his defense was airtight. Xiao Chun could not determine the other party's trajectory, but Shimu could not charge in either. The two immediately entered a stalemate. Up in the palace in the sky, Shimu's true body and the old man opposite him focused on this battle. Shimu, how strong is this statue? After some thought, Shimu replied, this statue was forged in the image of me when I was young. His cultivation and experience stopped at 200 years old. He does not have much of an advantage. However, I did not expect him to last for so long. Back in the trial tower, although Xiao Chun had fallen into Shimu's strange domain, he did not fall into a disadvantage. He managed to stabilize his offense. The old man opposite, Shimu, smiled and said, this does not look good. You were not a match for him when you were 200 years old. His saber, Dao, happens to counter your saber Dao. You're getting careless this time. Humph. It's not over yet. Although this was the truth, Shimu felt somewhat unconvinced. He snorted and did not argue with his old friend. He's going to counterattack. The eyes of the other old man lit up. He saw Xiao Chun, who was in the trial tower, swiftly thrust his tyrant saber forward. In an instant, thousands of saber rays shot toward the statue like rays of light. Kacha-kacha! With a crisp sound, the flowers shattered and turned into petals that drifted with the wind. You won't be able to defeat me just by relying on these illusions. Break! Xiao Chun snorted coldly and spread out his thunder, Dao domain. Thousands of lightning bolts appeared in the sky. When the Thunder Saber domain was brought to its peak, Xiao Chun stepped forward and thrust his saber again. Boom! In an instant, the sea of flowers disappeared, and a vast expanse of lightning reappeared. The Great Dao was perfectly compatible with the surrounding environment, borrowing power from each other. The might of Xiao Chen's Thunder Dao domain became even more ferocious. Xiao Chen's aura flourished, and he showed no mercy. He attacked with the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber techniques, breaking the mundane. Thump! The statue's heart skipped a beat, and its thoughts wandered. The mundane events of the past appeared in its mind. By the time the statue startled to its senses, Xiao Chen's saber light was already before it. CI. The tyrant's saber stabbed in, and the other party's physical body shattered, turning into countless shards like a mirror. The illusion shattered, and Shimu appeared behind the statue. A wound appeared on his right shoulder, and blood spurted out. Shimu had been too slow in dodging the earlier move. It was like a lotus flower not absorbing water, or like the sun and moon not remaining in the sky. Resolving the mundane, the Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal. When Xiao Chun executed the overwhelming attack, it flowed smoothly like flowing water. He controlled it as he pleased. The other party had just stabilized himself when an eternal and inextinguishable saber light swept over with the 7-fold killing chi. Bang! 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 When resolving the mundane swept across the vast expanse of lightning, countless cracks appeared in the ground, which quickly sank. The ground under the statue looked like it was hollow, continuously sinking. Pussy-eye. The statue vomited a mouthful of blood. It simply found this saber light somewhat hard to block, forcing it to retreat continuously. Old friend, you're probably really going to lose. The old man across, Shimu felt slightly shocked. He said in shock, the Buddhist sex-forbidden technique, the Maya abstinence violation saber technique, is truly horrifying. His fortuitous encounters are much better than yours when you were 200 years old. The more problematic thing is that his saber Tao happens to counter your flower domain. Shimu said calmly, you are overthinking. Since the trial tower was established, this statue of mine has never been defeated by anyone. How can it not have some trump cards? Just watch slowly. The show is just beginning. It looked like the boundless saber light would swallow up the statue Shimu in the vast expanse of lightning. Then he suddenly shouted, what is a fiend? The statue Shimu pointed his saber at the sky. The tall mountain behind him in the vast expanse of lightning seemed to come to life. The statue Shimu's aura surged. Then he hacked at the saber light materialized by the sevenfold killing chi. At this moment, the tall mountain in the lightning lake turned into a saber light and attached to his saber. Dang! As the saber lights clashed, a terrifying sound rang out. Compared to this, the thunder in the sky was like the buzzing of mosquitoes. What is a fiend? The saber light filled the sky. Amid the chaos, the statue Shimu turned into a beam of light and leaped out. Cracks appeared on his face. Clearly, he was already a spent force. As this saber light danced, the tall mountains, rivers, lakes, and swamps around Shao Chun all came to life. As they wriggled, they turned into hundreds of saber lights of different styles surrounding Shao Chun. Every strand of saber light seemed to have a life of its own, each one a lunatic, boundlessly outstanding. The vastness of the tall mountains, the surging of the rivers, the silence of the lakes, every strand of saber light was different. Shock appeared in Shao Chen's eyes. What kind of saber technique is this? I have never seen or heard of it before. When the other party executed it, it seemed somewhat crude, like he was barely able to execute it. But even so, he was already ridiculously strong, causing others to feel despair. No wonder no one could defeat the statue, Shimu, in one move. Facing such a killer move for the first time, who could resist it? If it was a month ago, Shao Chun would have been defeated. As for now, the Buddha was in the human world and could fight with him. Mahamaya abstinence violation art. Without much time to think, Shao Chun executed the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber techniques in the mortal realm. The supreme killing Buddha descended into the mortal realm and calmed the seas and the surroundings. In the middle of Shao Chen's brows, the swastika Buddhist seal shone brightly. In the next moment, the light directly condensed into a huge, unparalleled killing Buddha. Dang! The supreme killing Buddha appeared with an expressionless face. With a push of his palms, the hundreds of saber lights stopped in midair, unable to move forward. Then, with a bang, they were all annihilated. The Buddha in the human world, calming the seas and the wastelands. After choosing Buddha in the mortal realm, this move became the strongest defensive move of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. Kacha! When this move broke, the Twilight statue, which was already a spent force, shattered before Shao Chun. Trial taker Shao Chun, congratulations on successfully breaking through the highest difficulty of the third floor. You are the first cultivator in the Trial Tower's history to defeat Fiendish Saber, Shimu, in one go. This time, the Honor Steel did not give off light. It did not break the record of the third floor. Fiendish Saber, Shimu, inside the Trial Tower, Shao Chun remained silent. It turned out that this senior was called Shimu. I wonder if he perfected his Saber Dao. If he perfected it, I really want to see it for myself. This is your reward. 5,000 faux god coins. Similarly, you obtained another privilege. Shao Chun put away the faux god coins and said after some thought, I'll keep the privilege for now. What's wrong? You do not intend to continue the challenge? Shao Chun shook his head and said, there's no need. I exhausted myself too much in the earlier battle. Furthermore, I already gained a lot on this floor. There's no need to keep clinging to it. Right? There will be plenty of time in the future. I'll send you out. A light flashed, and Shao Chun was sent out. He was startled when he saw so many people. Initially, there were only 100-odd Heavenly Alliance members outside the trial tower. Now, there were close to several hundred people. Xiao Chun came out. How young? Why did he come out when he was only on the third floor? How strange. He took the initiative to leave after clearing the third floor. How strong is this person? All sorts of discussions arose. Xiao Chun showed a calm expression, ignoring them as he walked over to Ao Jiao. Chapter 21:30. Strange. He broke 2 records in a row, but he stopped at the third floor and did not continue. Did he run out of stamina? He should have special privileges for breaking the record. The privileges should allow him to rest. Given that, he might have used trickery to break the records of the first 2 floors. The one we need to pay more attention to in the Heavenly Alliance is still Lin Feng. He broke through 8 floors on his first attempt and killed his way to the 9th floor. This is true strength. That's right. Compared to records, the faux god experts are more interested in true strength and accumulations. That's why Lin Feng attracted 4 faux gods to descend at the same time. That's right. If he really had strength, faux gods would have appeared. Breaking 2 floors in a row would have attracted the attention of faux gods long ago. Since no faux gods came, it means that he is just a show. Faux gods have better eyes than us. Many of the super faction disciples who heard the news and rushed over to the trial tower to observe showed surprised expressions. They were still hoping that Xiao Chun could break another record. Who could have imagined that Xiao Chun would withdraw? However, Xiao Chun did not care about this. He returned to the crowd and met up with Ao Jiao. Sorry, Brother Wu Meng. You lost. Wu Meng and Mo, you made a bet on whether Xiao Chun could make it to the 6th floor or not. The result was already out. In the end, Xiao Chun did not reach the 6th floor. However, breaking 2 records in a row had already made Wu Meng and Mo forget about this bet. A bet of 100 faux god coins was not worth mentioning compared to the reward for breaking the record. Wu Meng recovered his wits and said, "Ha, little brother Xiao Chun must be joking. I even forgot about this bet." "Oh, right, little brother Xiao Chun. Why did you stop making your breakthrough?" Xiao Chun answered honestly, "I exhausted myself too much and accidentally activated the highest difficulty of the 3rd floor. My soul energy, veritable essence energy, and mind are all somewhat fatigued. If I continued, I would likely fail." "The highest difficulty?" Wu Meng and Mo exclaimed softly. As they looked at Xiao Chun, they felt incredibly shocked. To think that Xiao Chun cleared the highest difficulty. This was simply inconceivable. This was his first time trying. "We are ashamed of our inferiority." The 2 smiled bitterly, cupped their fists, and bade farewell, saying that they would meet again another day. Seeing the 2 go far away, Ao Jiao smiled and said, "Congratulations. Come, I'll bring you to the 10,000 treasure pavilion. As long as you have faux god coins, you can exchange for any resource in the 10,000 treasure pavilion." "All right, let's go." He had a huge sum of money in his hands, so of course he had to spend it quickly and exchange it for resources to increase his strength. The 2 of them left, but the rest of the people in the Tower of Trials did not disperse. They had been influenced by Xiao Chen's 2 consecutive records. Many people felt that today was a good day. It was necessary for them to try and break the record. In a certain faux god palace in the sky, Shimu's aged expression was somewhat unsightly. He showed a sullen expression and did not say a word. The old man in front of him knew his nature. He was a loner, had few friends, and was proud and arrogant. His temper could be said to be strange. However, he was extremely strong and proud of his saber dao. The defeat of his statue in the trial tower was clearly too much for him to bear. Don't overthink. Everyone's statues in the trial tower are there for these juniors to trample on. My statue was defeated more than 1,000 years ago. Furthermore, it only represents our previous strength. It is not much. Shimu interrupted the old man halfway through his consoling words. "I will not be bothered by such trivial matters. Earlier, 4 or 5 faux gods sent voice projections to me, asking if I would accept Xiao Chun." The old man's eyes lit up as he immediately understood. Xiao Chen's potential had clearly attracted the attention of some faux gods bladesmen. Although they were tempted, the statue that Xiao Chen defeated was Shi Mu's statue. If they wanted to accept Xiao Chen, they had to ask Shi Mu first. What did you say? I told them not to target Xiao Chen. They are just a bunch of mediocre people misleading others. Although they were all faux gods, Shi Mu did not stand on ceremony when commenting on others. In that case, it looks like you intend to personally accept Xiao Chen. How? I already lost to him. How am I going to face him with my old face? Fiendish saber, Shi Mu said irritably. Clearly, he felt very upset and depressed. Ha ha ha. So that's the case. I was wondering why you were so conflicted. What do you intend to do then? You are not letting others teach him, and you're not teaching him either. That is not good, the gray-clad old man said with a smile. I'll do what I have to do. Fiendish saber, Shi Mu said something that made no sense. Then, he took his leave, leaving the gray-clad old man alone. This old friend of mine will die because of his temper sooner or later, the gray-clad old man said with a smile. Then, he shook his head and sighed softly. If Xiao Chen knew that this was the reason why no faux god appeared, what would he think? At this moment, Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao had already arrived at the 10,000 Treasure Palace. The grand and majestic 10,000 Treasure Palace had a total of 2 floors. There were many startling treasures, rare spirit herbs, cultivation techniques, secret manuals, profound weapons, all sorts of divine materials, and all sorts of wondrous items. Every treasure was labeled with the corresponding faux god coins. Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao could only exchange for them on the first floor. They could not go up to the second or third floors. Divine Firmament 9 changes, a lightning-attributed movement technique from the peak of the ancient martial epic. It has been passed down for a long time. Xiao Chen's gaze stopped on a brown metal plate. This was an ancient movement technique created by an expert at the peak of the martial epic. Although it was incomplete, it still held a great attraction to Xiao Chen. How expensive! This movement technique cost a total of 5,000 faux god coins. After Ao Jiao saw it, she said softly, "Furthermore, it is incomplete. It might not be very useful. Wait, I nearly forgot. You already broke the records on 2 floors. You do not lack faux god coins." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "It is rare to come across a high-ranked movement technique that is compatible with me. Even if it is not worth it, it does not matter." After placing sufficient faux god coins under the pillar, the restriction automatically unraveled. Then, Xiao Chen took away the metal plate. Since there was an ancient movement technique like the Divine Firmament 9 changes, would there be other incomplete manuals of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique? Xiao Chen went to the exchange counter and asked the woman behind to see if he could make an exchange. Sorry, the 10,000 Treasure Palace does not have the incomplete manuals of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. Even if there were, we would not be able to trade it with you. Why? The Hidden Spirit Temple has been searching for this saber technique. This is a Buddhist sect forbidden technique, so we cannot trade it with you. When Xiao Chen heard that, he could not help feeling slightly startled. He had forgotten about this matter. All right, in that case, help me make the exchange. 5,000 faux god coins worth of origin liquid. Also, please give me a list of how many extreme yin and extreme yang flames there are. Also, help me look for an ancient saber technique. Sure. Please wait a moment. On the first day, Xiao Chen obtained close to 20,000 faux god coins. He did not feel any heartache as he spent them, flabbergasting Ao Jiao at the side. When the two left, Xiao Chen had only 1,000 faux god coins left. You exchanged for a lot of origin liquid. Are you going to enter closed-door cultivation to raise your cultivation? Origin liquid was the pure spiritual liquid produced by Spirit Jade Origins. It was rare and valuable. Even sovereign emperors used it to cultivate. No matter how much they used it, there would not be any side effects. When Xiao Chen first entered the Heavenly Alliance, he obtained some origin liquid as a reward. However, he had not used it yet. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "My cultivation is still somewhat low. As long as I have enough origin liquid in the faux god world, I will advance rapidly when I cultivate." Right now, Xiao Chun was only a small perfection sovereign personage. Compared to the others in the faux god world, his cultivation was too weak. I'm afraid that I will have to leave the faux god world by the time you come out of closed-door cultivation. Ao Jiao noticed that Xiao Chun had prepared a lot of resources, 1,500 kilograms of origin liquid. He also needed to comprehend the Divine Firmament 9 Transformations movement technique. He would need at least a year and a half to use them all. After some thought, Xiao Chun said, "It's fine. When I leave the faux god world, I will definitely go to the Golden Crow Empire to see you. You just need to wait for me for 1 year outside." Ao Jiao smiled and said, "In that case, I'll wait for you. Don't go back on your word." "It's a deal, then." Xiao Chun also felt that it was unfortunate. They had just met. Before they could say anything, they would have to part again. However, time was precious in the faux god world. The geniuses and outstanding talents of the various super factions gathered here. If Xiao Chun did not work hard, it would be too late to regret it after he left the faux god world. After saying goodbye to Ao Jiao, Xiao Chun returned to his courtyard. However, he discovered a middle-aged man waiting at the entrance. Xiao Chun could not help feeling suspicious. This middle-aged man had a saber intent flowing around his body. He was a sovereign emperor and had extraordinary looks, looking rather handsome. The strange thing was this middle-aged man's cultivation. It was not strange to see faux gods or sovereign personages in the faux god world. However, it was strange to see a sovereign emperor. "You are?" Xiao Chun asked out of curiosity as he stepped forward. "Young Master Xiao, this humble one is Lu Benwei. I have been waiting here on Master Shimu's orders." When Xiao Chun heard that, his eyes could not help lighting up. Shimu. Chapter 21:31. "So, it is Senior Shimu's brilliant disciple. This way, please." "Not really. I'm just an in-name disciple." Hearing the other party's declaration, Xiao Chun did not dare to be negligent. Lu Benwei clasped his fist and entered the courtyard. After sitting down, Xiao Chun asked, "Why are you looking for me?" Lu Benwei took out a painting and handed it to Xiao Chun. "Master gave this to young Master Xiao." Xiao Chun wanted to unfurl the painting and take a look. However, Lu Benwei stopped him and said, "Master said that young Master Xiao can look at it only after I leave." "Strange," Xiao Chun muttered in his heart, but he did not insist. "In that case, I will take my leave first. I will not disturb young Master Xiao any longer." "Wait a moment. In the faux god world, you're either a faux god or a disciple of super faction like me. How can you still stay in the Holy Domain's divine capital?" Lu Benwei smiled and said, "Sovereign emperors can enter as well, as long as they pay a small price. As for me, Master has already helped me obtain a permanent identity in the Holy Domain's divine capital. I can enter the faux god world freely. However, even Master can't get a permanent identity. It's rare to see someone like me in the divine capital." "Oh, I'll walk you out. You're welcome." Xiao Chun stood up and sent the other party out of the door. Then he held the scroll in his hand and fell into deep thought. After Xiao Chun defeated the other party's statue in the trial tower, Shimu's true body gave him a painting when he returned. What does that mean? If he had taken a liking to me, why didn't he show himself and accept me as his disciple? Xiao Chun was very happy to have a faux god give him pointers and take him in as a disciple. Not only was he happy, but it was also a kind of desire. Having guidance from a faux god realm expert and not having guidance from a faux god realm expert were two completely different situations. With some doubts, Xiao Chun unfurled the painting. He saw a lake on the painting. Outside the lake were vast mountains, and the lake was dark green and serene. Green mountains, blue waters, white clouds, wild cranes flying in the sky. It was a typical landscape painting. The painting was exquisite, with verdant hills and clear waters, and a profound artistic conception that could draw one's imagination. But that was all. The painting shaft, the paper, the ink, and the paint were all ordinary. There was nothing special about it. Strange, for a disciple to give me a painting for no good reason, and not come see me, and not say anything else. Just what does this senior want? Xiao Chun looked at it for a long time, but he couldn't figure out its true meaning. He could only shake his head helplessly and put it away. I shouldn't delay matters for now. 1,500 kilograms of origin liquid is enough for me to stabilize my cultivation base and perhaps even advance further. Sighing softly, Xiao Chun entered the secret chamber and began to cultivate. In Shimu's palace, Lu Benwei reported respectfully, "Master, I have already sent the painting out." I did not say anything else. "All right, I'll give him the second painting a year later. If he can't understand it, don't blame me for ruining your future." Shimu felt somewhat bad for stopping the other faux god bladesmen. However, he could not lower his pride to meet Xiao Chun. Therefore, she directed such a play. Unfortunately, Xiao Chun really couldn't see anything. Lu Benwei thought to himself, "Master's temper is really unfathomable." That landscape painting took Xiao Chun 10 years to comprehend some of its true meaning. Master even gave some pointers from his side. Giving someone a painting for no reason was probably something Xiao Chun could not figure out, even if he racked his brains. If Xiao Chun lost himself in it and ended up wasting time, he would really be ruining his future. Of course, Xiao Chun could only say this in his heart. His master had always been like this. Shimu looked indifferently at Lu Benwei. After some thought, he said, "Master knows what you are thinking. Naturally, I have my reasons for doing this. Remember, don't meet him in private. Don't say too much. You may leave." Lu Benwei nodded and took his leave. However, he could not figure out what Shimu was thinking. Seeing Lu Benwei leave, a crafty look flashed in Shimu's eyes. He smiled and said, "I already understood half of this painting when I was 200 years old. If you still don't understand, you're not as good as me." It turned out that Shimu was still unconvinced and wanted to compete with Xiao Chun. Many years later, when Xiao Chun understood this, he would smile bitterly. Had he known about the other party's temper, he would have shown an opening and lost. Then, he would not have needed to go through so much trouble to learn the fiendish saber's true meaning. Golden Dragon Bloodline Ancestor Palace, Divine Dragon Empire, Central Great Realm. A person wearing golden dragon robes sat on a high throne. His face looked like it was chiseled with a knife, showing distinct features. This was the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, the person with the highest authority in the Divine Dragon Empire. "Your Majesty, we have already obtained conclusive news. Xiao Chun has indeed entered the Heavenly Alliance. Now he has appeared in the faux god world and is undergoing 10 years of bitter cultivation. The news just came that he broke the records of the Trial Tower's first and second floors. This is very shocking. However, no faux god expert took him in as a disciple." Someone below asked respectfully as he knelt on the ground. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's expression did not change when he heard that. He said indifferently, "It is strange that no faux god took him in as a disciple despite his potential. If there are no surprises, he will definitely become a sovereign emperor 10 years later. What do you think we should do?" "He should be killed," the person below said sullenly, appearing somewhat nervous. "However, he is in the faux god world. How am I to make a move? This subordinate naturally has a way. After we succeed, we will not cause any trouble for your Majesty." The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor said after some thought, "I did not kill him, nor did I give the order to kill him. How is there any trouble?" The expression of the person below changed slightly. His lips twitched as he nodded and said, "This subordinate understands. Withdraw, then." "Yes." After everyone left, the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor was the only one left in the empty hall. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor held a high position, controlling the life and death of the Divine Dragon Empire. However, no one knew about him. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor muttered to himself, "Jiang Shan, your good inheritor really helped you gain some pride. However, my Golden Dragon bloodline absolutely will not end in my hands. No one can stop me." A cold look flashed in the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's eyes, and the entire hall suddenly froze. As the cold chi spread out, the dazzling golden dragon pillars turned into ice pillars. Of course, those cultivating in the faux god world would not know that even though they were in the faux god world, they could not escape the attention of some people. Xiao Chun was not in the mood to think about this. 1,500 kilograms of origin liquid required him to enter closed-door cultivation for 1 year. 1 year passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, aside from Ao Jiao's one visit, Xiao Chun remained in his secret room. With 1,500 kilograms of origin liquid and the aid of his blue dragon divine body, Xiao Chun's cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. He was only half a step away from peak sovereign personage. Once he reached the bottleneck, he could no longer rely on resources to advance. He needed some fortuitous encounters and could not break through just by entering closed-door cultivation. After running out of origin liquid, Xiao Chun started to practice the ancient divine firmament 9 transformations. Occasionally, he would go to the library to read books. During this period, Mu Yunju sought out Xiao Chun once, wanting to fight him. However, Xiao Chun rejected him. Aside from this, Xiao Chun's life had been as calm as still water for the past 1 year or so. His days had not been particularly eventful. However, the faux god world was extraordinarily bustling. The fights between the various super factions were also very exciting. People continuously broke records in the trial tower, charging to higher levels. However, all this did not have much to do with Xiao Chun. He took his time, advancing step by step according to his plan. Although Xiao Chun did not move quickly, his footsteps were very steady. His strength advanced steadily, leaving a deep footprint with each step. It turns out that there are so many differences in strength in the sovereign personage realm. Inside the library, Xiao Chun put down a book and entered deep thought. After reaching peak sovereign personage, most people's cultivation would get stuck either for 1,000 years or 100 years. The talented people might even be stuck for decades. This was normal. Sovereign personage was the limit of humans. Once one broke through, one would start cultivating the soul. After crossing this step, one would be separated from the divine. The difference was like a chasm, easily determined. Hence, there were strong and weak peak sovereign personages. The closer one was to a divine vein realm sovereign emperor, the stronger one would be. Peak sovereign personages normally had 3 grades. The first was heaven-defying sovereign personage. For example, the Heavenly Alliance's Gongzi Lan, Mo Yu, Wu Ming, and the others. These people were clearly much stronger than other peak sovereign personages. These people could be called heaven-defying sovereign personages. Half-step sovereign emperor was only half a step away from divine vein realm sovereign emperor. The most obvious sign was the merging of the Dao domain and soul energy, forming a divine seal in the soul pool. For example, the profound Heaven Holy Land's Mu Yunju was at this level. When he first met Xiao Chun, he only said one sentence. Mu Yunju's voice containing the Dao entered deep into Xiao Chun's soul, echoing endlessly. This was because he had formed a divine seal. Finally, there were false sovereign emperors. In reality, false sovereign emperors had already surpassed the sovereign personage realm. They could even turn their veritable essence energy into divine energy. However, they could not open their divine veins and were not true divine vein realm sovereign emperors. They were called false emperors. At this level, one could be said to be unrivaled among sovereign personages. Unless a sovereign emperor appeared, practically no one could defeat them. In the Holy Domain's divine capital, the 4 super factions, the Universe Origin Sect Bushin Palace, the profound Heaven Holy Land, and the Hidden Spirit Temple, all had geniuses who reached this level. The more Xiao Chun understood, the clearer and more aware he became when he was in the faux god world. Right now, he was only a peak great perfection sovereign personage, not even reaching consummation sovereign personage. He needed to work harder. With my current strength, I could be considered a heaven-defying sovereign personage. However, if I run into a half-step sovereign emperor like Mu Yunju, my chances of victory are only 50%. It will be very difficult for me to defeat a false emperor. I have to break through as soon as possible. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. The 3,000 drops of origin liquid allowed his cultivation to advance rapidly. He could break through to consummation sovereign personage at any time. However, he lacked a fortuitous encounter. He needed a true battle. Perhaps I should leave the city to hunt faux beasts.